Okay, let's go back on the record. We reconvene in State versus Apodaca with counsel and Mr. Apodaca.
All right, what we got for this afternoon, y'all?
I was informed there's an issue we need to address. Counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't know that we need to address it in full at this moment, but I wanted to alert the court. So as the court's aware, throughout the case, we've been regularly monitoring the defendant's jail calls. And after the first day of trial, he called his mother. We received that call yesterday morning and disclosed it to defense yesterday. We received 2 more calls to his mother from last night, this morning, and I believe have since uploaded those. Okay, we're in the process of uploading those. What I can proffer to the court based on a quick review of those calls is that he appears to be violating the rule of exclusion and discussing some of the ongoings in the courtroom, including yesterday some of the evidence that was admitted. There's some coded references to the testimony of Lanny McCauley and a number of issues of related to activities within the courtroom.
Yes, mother.
Coded or in shorthand, but there is active discussion related to evidence that was referred to or introduced yesterday. There's discussions about her upcoming testimony and things that he is.
Who's her?
His mother, Linda Montoya. As you're aware, defense has said that they would be recalling her in their case. She's still, and we had reserved her, and the court admonished her she wasn't allowed to talk about her testimony with anyone. The defendant, of course, has been present throughout the trial, hearing you admonish all witnesses.
Ooh, you idiot.
Violating the rule of exclusion, and she has been participatory in that violation. It's not ripe at this time. I'm not sure if defense intends to recall her, but should they, we will likely be seeking her exclusion. And we would ask for the court to consider additional remedies as it relates to the defendant, and that would include an admonition not to have any further contact with his mother during the trial, and the court consider a elimination of phone privileges for the duration of the trial.
Ooh.
Counsel, I know you haven't heard all of the recordings. Have you reviewed the one recording that was referred to?
No, Judge. I will. Was it disclosed through CMS? Or?
Well, it's a recording, so it would have been through Axon yesterday's?
I didn't get a notification of that or anything, so this is kind of surprising to me. We were actually talking about Linda Montoya during lunch. We're not likely not calling her back.
Oh, no, the fuck he didn't. And mama ain't shit.
Honest to defendant, we told him not to, be communicating with anybody who's a witness.
She has a prohibition as well.
Well, she has a prohibition as well. I understand that, Judge. And,
Real quick, I know they're not using their mics, but if you did not catch it, basically the state has been monitoring old Isaac here's phone conversations still. And apparently on the first day of trial on Wednesday, he talked to his mama about the trial. But then, you know, his mama testified on either the end of day 1 or day 2. And mom was told that she would be reserved and possibly called back. And the judge said, don't say nothing, don't talk about it, don't discuss anything about this case or your testimony with anybody until you find out that this case is over or you're not being called. Well, apparently they got 2 phone calls from last night where mama and son is on the dang on phone talking in coded language, but he's telling mom about Kiara's mom's testimony. And basically they up here talking about her upcoming testimony on his behalf for the defense. So he's feeding mom information about what happened yesterday, who spoke, what evidence came in, and basically getting mama's testimony together. So the state is saying at this point, we're going to say he don't need to be allowed to talk to mama no more. Because you told her not to talk about it. He knows better than them to be able to talk about it. He know he's not supposed to talk about it. And both of them is actively defying you, Judge. They said, fuck what you talking about. Okay? So the state said basically put him on punishment. Not only do he not be able to, this Bobby Boucher ass don't need to be talking to mama, but he also need to be on punishment. No phone privileges to any goddamn body. Don't let him touch a phone till this court case is over. Now the defense is trying to say, oh, well, we didn't get a notification that there was another recording. So now they're trying to call bullshit on the damn evidence. And then in the same breath say, well, it might not be that much of a problem because we might not be calling her anyway. Now, the state also said, if y'all try to call her ass, not only are we going to be seeking this punishment for the phone, but we also going to be seeking that her ass be excluded.
I talked to we told the defendant not to be communicating with witnesses in this case. I need to listen to those jail calls to see what the state is referring to, but right now we're leaning towards not calling Ms. Montoya, but calling Mr. Apodaca. That's where we're
And
Oh, it
you
gets
don't have to
better.
make those decisions, but 2 things. One is make sure you provide and make available the, I guess now 3 calls that you've referred to, and also to make sure that we don't have any other potential for tamper. Counsel prepare an order suspending his phone privileges, and we'll get that issued and sent to the jail when they take him back today.
Yes, Your Honor. The other issue, the state doesn't take a position on this. I just want the court to be aware as the person in charge of the courthouse as it relates to this case. Ms. Montoya came to the courthouse yesterday and was seen anointing a large amount of courthouse, the doorways, some of the objects in the hallway with an oil and the sign of the cross. Those crosses are visible at some points in the hallway. My staff saw her do it. We don't take a position on that, but
Did she mark the building with a cross, or was she just?
no, the building, like, so the 2 entry doors here
Yes.
have oil cross marks on them.
Okay.
I know at least a member of staff noticed one of the benches in the hallway. You know, I just felt like the court should be aware.
Oh, no, listen.
So, Judge, I will tell you this.
Let me tell you, that's some old school right there. That's some old time religion back when they had nothing but them wood pews and no air conditioning, okay? Because when my grandmama found out that I had started drinking at 21, she definitely came in my house with all the sisters. They was praying and talking in tongues and anointing the walls and the doors because I had went wayward and lost my mind and got to drinking. Okay. At 21, they did. I had my 21st birthday party. We made some jungle juice, you know, everything. They go big on. And I had fell asleep. I got drunk, y'all. Woo! And I woke up and all my jewelry was gone. My hair and bones, my nameplate, my X and O necklace and bracelet, all my jewelry was gone except for 3 rings. And that's because I had those on. And when I had to tell them that my jewelry was missing, I did have renter's insurance back there, thanks to having older grandparents. But my grandmother found out that I was in there with the devil's juice and had lost my mind and my religion. She came in there with that Pompian oil, to look like a triangle. And her and all 7 of her sisters came to my house praying because I had obviously taken leave of my senses. Okay. So they said his mama that came in there praying over that courthouse said, there will be peace. She put that oil on her hand, start touching things, anointing things, and putting. My great grandfather used to put the oil across on your forehead before he prayed for you. Oh God! Oh, wait till I tell Tiffany what this lady done did. Just greasy, and shook up because they didn't push you backwards and grabbed your head because now you got to go to altar call because you done lost your mind. You've been out here drinking like you grown. Oh man, Mama ain't playing. I can't see. Oh, the shorts. I like the shorts. Uh-huh. And then Big Uncle come in here with some shorts with Psalms 34 and 7 on them. Or 37 and 4. What was that? See how the Lord come after you when you get the backsliding? Me talking about all that in the den of sin.
I don't know if there's going to be some.
That's where the den of sin came from. That's what they call my house.
In the next few days, I could
Pour it on top of your head.
necessary for us to call Montoya to clarify something.
Now, to him who was able to keep you from falling.
Our plan would not be to call Miss Montoya. So
Oh, you can call
chance that we're not gonna call Miss
him.
Montoya back unless something changes to testimony or evidence that would make it necessary for us to call her.
I mean, I don't know what is going to happen with respect. So, yeah, if there's, I mean, my concern would be primarily if the jury saw her doing something like that, either in the building or in the courtyard outside of the building. They know who she is. She's already testified once before them, and both sides have reserved her for potential recall. So
They look nice.
Take any action. I mean, we've had people burn sage smudge sticks outside and around cornmeal. I mean, things like that happen. But my concern is the impact it might have on the jury if they observe anything like that with respect to her testimony, which is outside of her activity outside of the courtroom that they may be able to observe.
Judge, is it okay based on this? I could just have a conversation right now in private with Mr. Apodaca. Briefly, probably less than 5 minutes.
Yes, but he's not going to be talking to her anymore. So, I mean, if you want to talk to him, that's fine. Let him talk in the back for a couple minutes.
And Your Honor, can that order also reflect a suspension of tablet messages? He communicates via essentially text message with his mother through the tablet.
Yes.
Right.
Where else directed?
Someone has one. defense is asking to speak with me.
Oh, I'm sorry. We want to oppose the state's order.
I haven't seen it yet, but
Well,
you can look at the
what
text.
what the state want, or as far as excluding the calls.
Yeah, we're gonna prepare the order, let council see it, and then submit it.
Yes.
Okay, our jury's in the back, ready to go. Anything else before we call them in and get started?
No.
I had to tell you this live. Okay, y'all, I got this fan on the phone.
Until the jury comes
So
in.
listen to this. How about they just came back from lunch and said not only has this hookhead hoe, this defendant been talking to his mama on the phone, they've been trying to talk in code, but he been telling his mama what been happening in court. She's not supposed to be talking about court because she is still possibly going to be a witness for the defense. So he even telling her what the girl's mama then said, what evidence then came in. Then the judge said, they said, okay, so we either going to exclude her, but we think he shouldn't be able to talk to not only to his mama, but get on the phone at all for the rest of the court case. Judge said, okay. Then they go ahead and say, all right, well, since we got that out the way, Judge, we want to tell you something else. We saw his mama up here yesterday. She came up here with the oil, and she been putting oil crosses at the courthouse door and at the courtroom door and on one of the benches. The judge said, where did she put a cross? She didn't came through.
Oh, she didn't.
He was telling her, and she not even supposed to be talking to her.
She said the power of Christ compels you, honey.
I said, she didn't pull the and, didn't she? She didn't pull the mama.
She said, listen.
She said there will be
We
peace.
won't have none of that. We'll have none of that. Oh, no, that's crazy.
I said I got to call Tiffany because that sounded like Ann and her sisters coming through.
Terry, a few months ago, I styled her in brand.
Girl, I had so many days off. I do not want a job.
I told you was gonna have a problem going back. You had all them days off.
Everything somebody say is sideways. You know, I just think, you know.
Man, I drunk that milk fucked me up.
Do you lie, Destiny? Destiny fucked up. Destiny is learning that after 35, she might be
Milk
lactose
is not for
intolerant.
you.
I think it was spoiled.
What's for?
It wasn't spoiled. You old. You can't be fucking with that milk like that. You got to go skim. You can't be. You can't take home.
You
May
lied.
be seated in the courtroom,
I
ladies and gentlemen.
I told you.
Let's go back on the record. Who is your next witness, counsel?
Jeffrey Smith, Your Honor.
Sir, if you'd face me and raise your right hand, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth and the penalty of perjury? I do. Please have a seat. See, you have some kind of notes or documents with you. Don't refer to those unless you're directed to by counsel. If you'd begin by stating your name for our record and spelling it for us, please.
My name is Jeffrey Smith, Jeffrey Smith.
Mr. Long,
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
Afternoon.
What do you do for a living?
I am a forensic scientist with the New Mexico Department of Public Safety here in the Santa Fe lab.
All right. And how long have you been with the Department of Public Safety?
I started with DPS in 2014. I left at the end of 2019 where I was the supervisor of the Albuquerque Police Department latent print section. And I came back in 2020 because COVID blew up the world.
All right. And is that sort of how much experience you have in as a forensic scientist, or do you go back before 2000? Did you say 2014?
I began my career in 1987 with the Sacramento Police Department. I was there a little over 13 years. Excuse me. I accepted a position with the Lakewood, Colorado Police Department as their latent print unit supervisor. I was there for 5 years when I left to take a position as a contractor for the Department of Defense. And I was in Iraq for approximately 2.5 years, where I ran the latent fingerprint lab at Camp Fallujah. I came back, went to work for Denver Police Department for approximately 2 years. And then I left as an independent contractor and worked as a subcontractor for Ron Smith and Associates at the Houston Police Department for 4 years. And then when that contract ran out is when I came to New Mexico.
All right. And what sort of educational background do you have?
I have a bachelor's degree from California State University, Sacramento, and I've had a multitude of specialized training in crime scene examination and processing, latent print processing, and latent print examination.
All right. And do any of those trainings offer, or do you have any sort of certifications or certificates?
Because of my experience at the time, I was qualified to take the International Association for Identification's latent print certification test, which I passed and have maintained since 1992. Yes, 1992.
All right. So for your job, is there a minimum educational requirement that you have to have?
I believe so. I think you have to have a bachelor's degree at a minimum, but I'm not certain because it changed within the last few years, I believe.
Okay. And do you have to participate in any sort of, I guess, continuing education or anything like that?
Our lab is accredited to an international standard, and as part of that standard, continuing education is required. Continuing education is also required for me to maintain my certification.
Okay. And have you ever testified as an expert witness before?
I have.
Do you know how many times?
In excess of 100.
Okay. And in what field or what discipline have you testified?
I have testified and been recognized as an expert in crime scene investigation, latent print examination, 10 print examination, and that occurred in California, Colorado, Texas, New Mexico, and I've had 2 sworn statements accepted in lieu of in-person testimony in the Central Criminal Court of Iraq.
All right, Your Honor, at this point, the state would offer Mr. Smith as an expert in latent print examination.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
He is so received and allowed to express his opinion in that area.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to talk a little bit about what some of this stuff is that we're going to talk about. So what is a latent print?
On the palms of your hands, your fingers, the soles of your feet, you have a type of skin that's called friction ridge skin. It's raised skin that allows you to grip things and hold on to things, except for maybe your feet. You don't really grip with your feet, but because of the uniqueness of that skin, which forms prior to birth, maintains its structure throughout your life, except for size due to growth. And it always, when you shed your skin, comes back exactly the same, except for permanent scarring. The friction ridge skin on your fingers forms patterns. There are 3 types of patterns: loops, whorls, and arches. And the friction ridge skin itself has ridge characteristics, which there are 3 basic types. For example, a ridge will go and stop, an ending ridge. A ridge will go and split into 2, a bifurcation, or there will be a dot. Self-explanatory, it's a dot. We use those characteristics. I'm probably not answering your question anymore, am I?
You are.
Okay. We use those ridge characteristics and their spatial relationship to one another to allow us to determine source when we are doing comparisons.
Okay. And when you're doing a comparison, do you have to have an inked or a known print to compare something to?
We do compare to a known set of standards. I don't know. People get printed for various reasons throughout their life. Those known standards, because we know where they came from, are used as the exemplars. The latent impressions that we come across on items, they're unknown to us. We don't know where they occurred, how they were left on an item. So we have unknowns, latents, or knowns, or exemplars.
Okay, so when you're making that comparison, how do you do it?
Well, sometimes I use a magnifying glass. A lot of times nowadays, because when we capture friction ridge skin or latent prints on items, we use digital cameras. So we do everything digitally on a computer screen. So I will take my unknown, my latent print, and I will analyze it to see if there's enough information there for me to make a determination. At the Department of Public Safety, we have basically 2 conclusions. We have identification, we know who the source, or we have exclusion. It is not the person we're comparing. On occasion, there is a 3rd conclusion, which we call inclusion, exclusion. We can't make a source determination. We can't make an elimination because we don't have enough information either from the unknown, the latent, or the known standards.
Okay. And is there ever time that you have to use another tool, maybe not a magnifying glass, in order to visualize a print?
A lot of times now, everything we do is digital, so it's on a computer screen. So we use Photoshop program to enlarge images. We can put the latent and the known side by side, because what we're looking for when we're making comparisons is correspondence. The characteristics I mentioned before, the 3 characteristics, and their spatial relationship to one another, we're looking for that in the known. When, for example, I have a bifurcation facing down, the corresponding ridge going up ends. So I have a characteristic of a bifurcation going down, a characteristic of an ending ridge going up. 3 ridges away, I have a bifurcation going up. I'm looking for that spatial relationship of all the ridge characteristics contained in the unknown, and I'm looking for the correspondence in the known. That is how we can determine source.
Okay, so in looking at, I guess, a finger or a palm, something like that, if I had cleaner glasses, I might be able to see something within that. Are those the ridges that you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay. Are you familiar with DPS case number 22-3858?
yes,
All right. And did you receive items for this case in order to test for latent prints?
I did.
Do you know what items you received in this case to test?
5, 6, and 9.
All right. And are those all of the items that you received?
No. Can I refer to my report?
Any objection?
No. Sorry, Your Honor, no objection.
You may.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
5, items 5, 6, 12, 9, 11, and 15.
Okay, so let's just start with number 5. What was item number 5?
Item number 5, which was agency item number 15, was a sword with reddish brown stains and what I suspected to be hairs.
All right. And item number 6, what was item number 6?
It was the sheath to the sword.
And how about, do you have items 12-1 and 12-2?
Yes.
What were those?
A dagger and its corresponding sheath.
What about item number 9?
Item 9 was inked finger and palm print standards bearing the name Kiara McCulley,
And is there a date of birth that was corresponded with that?
12/4/2002.
What about item number 11?
Inked finger and palm print standards bearing the name Isaac Apodaca, date of birth 12/19/1996.
And finally, lab item number 15. What was that?
Post-mortem inked fingerprint standards bearing the name Grace Jennings, date of birth 8/22/2001.
Would you tell the jury a little bit about the process? How did you get those items?
Well, this case was assigned to me by my supervisor, which is typical. And then I look at the assignment, I see which items I need to request. I submit a request to our evidence section, who receives the evidence from submitting agencies, stores it in the vault until somebody like me asks for it for analysis. So I submitted a request to them. They pull the items. Our evidence tracking system is a barcode system. So they scan the barcode into the computer system. It's Laboratory Information Management System, or LIMS system. And then I come in, I verify what they're giving me is what I asked for. They put in their unique password. I put in my unique password, and the item is transferred from the evidence section into my control. Within the latent print section, I have personal lockers that I have personal combinations for, where I store it prior to doing my analysis. So I would take it for them, I'd put it in my locker until I'm ready to work on it.
And to your knowledge, were those contents changed? Were the contents changed, disturbed in any manner other than what you did to perform your test?
No, when one of the first things we do when we get the evidence items is we check to make sure that the seal is intact and it has not been compromised. And then our process is to photograph the packaging to show what condition it was in when I received it, which I did in this case.
Okay. And you stated that you've got sort of your own personal lockers. When you receive those contents, were they either in your custody and control or in your locker at all times?
Once I got them from the evidence section, yes.
Thank you. Did you actually perform any latent print processing or development on any of those items?
I did.
All right. Would you tell the jury a little bit about that, please?
All right. First of all, there are two kinds of items that we process for latent prints. There's porous items, something that absorbs. Paper is a good example. And non-porous items, something that doesn't absorb, like my sword. even though we call the friction ridge latent prints, sometimes when we examine the item, we can see those prints with the naked eye. That is always our first examination method, is a visual inspection to see if there is ridge detail that we can see with our naked eye. If there is ridge detail observed at any point in the processing methods, we document it photographically. In this particular case, there was ridge detail visible to me. I didn't have to do anything. I did no processing when I initially discovered the ridge detail, so I documented it photographically. For non-porous items, our second processing method, well, in this case, because there was reddish brown stains on the item, we use a chemical called amino black, which reacts with the proteins found in blood. It will enhance and highlight if there are those proteins there in a bluish black coloring. So that was my second process in this case. I did not get any additional prints. Following that, we use superglue fuming, where we put our non-porous items in a cabinet, an airtight cabinet. We heat superglue. The fumes will adhere to the residue left when you touch an item, and it's examined after that. Photographs are taken if needed. And the last combo step is a dye stain called rhodomin that we use. It adheres, gets absorbed by the superglue residue, and then we view it with a laser and it will fluoresce to allow us to see it better. Anything's there, we take photographs. Those are the processes I used in this case.
Okay. And you stated that when you use the naked eye, that you were actually able to visualize some prints. Is that correct?
3.
Okay. And then when you went to the next step, I think you called it the amino black, that actually didn't result in anything.
There was some enhancement because we have prints that we're going to use, but when something is handled multiple times, take your cell phone, for example, there's all kinds of bits and pieces of ridge detail that is insufficient for use in comparison. We can't make an exclusion, we can't make an identification because there's not enough information there. These items all had ridge detail that I could not use for comparison. So without checking my notes, I do believe amino, there was some enhancement, but nothing significant.
Okay. And then was there anything of significance that happened after and I think you kind of said it was a 2-step process, the super glue with then the dye stain.
No, super glue first, then the dye stain
Thank
with
you.
the laser.
Okay.
And no.
Okay. Thank you. After you did those sort of processing steps, did you then conduct an analysis?
I conduct an analysis of what's on the item at every step through processing. I think, if I may, what you mean, did I do a comparison?
I do mean that. Thank you. Did you conduct a comparison?
I did.
And what were the results of that comparison?
Okay, I mentioned already that there were 3 prints of value. 2 were sufficient for identification. 1 was sufficient for inclusion, exclusion only. So as I may have said, or at least alluded to earlier, when we make an identification, that means we're determining source. When we make an exclusion, we're saying that the people we compared could not be the source of that print, but because it's an inclusion print, I can't ever identify that print because there's not enough information there. But I can use it, possibly, for exclusion. 2 of the prints in this case were identified to Ms. McCulley, and the 3rd impression could not be excluded from Ms. McCulley due to the quality of the impression. Now, I'm kind of jumping around and I apologize. When I say a print can't be identified, that doesn't mean it's worthless. As I think I said earlier, there are 3 pattern types and everybody has a combination or one of all of them. There's a loop, the ridge detail comes in, loops around, goes back out the same side. There's a whirl, kind of looks like a Target. Think of the Target department store logo. And there's an arch where it comes, the ridges come in from one side, kind of flow up in a wave and go out the other side. Well, this inclusionary print was a right slant whirl. So the ridges come in from the right side, come up, loop over, go back out the other side. If the person I'm comparing has no loops, I can exclude them. They could not possibly be the source of that impression. I could not exclude Miss McCulley, but the other 2 individuals I compared, Apodaca and Jennings, they had loops. But this particular loop, while there's not enough information there for me to make an identification, there was significant ridge count between the delta, which is part of the pattern type. It's where the ridges flow together, split apart, and surround or tend to surround the core of the print. So there was significant ridge count between the delta and the core. And Apodaca and Jennings had very small ridge count loops, so I could exclude them based on that information.
All right, and I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the what you found, what those results were as far as specific items. So as far as lab item number 5, which I think you stated was the sword with reddish brown stains on that.
Correct.
Okay. Was there anything sufficient for possible identification?
Yes.
All right, and what was it?
Those were the 3 that I explained just a minute ago. 2 for identification, which were identified, and 1 for inclusion, exclusion, which couldn't be excluded, but was excluded from 2 of the 3.
Okay, so let's talk about the identification portion. Who did that identification come back to?
One of them was identified as the right middle finger of McCulley. One was identified as the left palm of McCulley.
And then what about for the impressions that were sufficient for inclusion or exclusion only?
I could not exclude McCulley, but I was able to exclude Apodaca and Jennings.
Okay. Let's move on to lab item number 6. Was there anything sufficient there for you to analyze?
No.
And number 6 was the sheath?
Yes.
Looking to lab items number 12-1 and 12-2, was there anything there for you to sufficient for your analysis?
No.
So based on lab item number 5, were you able to make or able to come to any conclusions?
Item 5?
Item 5.
Yes, that was the 3 impressions. 2 were identified. The third one could not be excluded from McCulley, but was excluded from Apodaca and Jennings.
Okay. And I guess to maybe sort of simplify that down a little bit, what is your ultimate opinion about whose prints are on that sword?
It is in my opinion that the source of the 2 prints is McCulley, right middle and left palm. I would not expect to see that in any other person that I've ever seen or compared. While, back up a little bit, while not all prints could be compared to everybody in the world, no 2 prints have ever been found to be from 2 separate sources. Even identical twins have different ridge characteristics, different fingerprints. Their palms are different. They are unique. While identical twins have the same DNA. But I cannot compare everybody in the world. So, but in my opinion, I would not expect the source of those prints to be anybody other than McCulley. However, the The source of the remaining impression could not be Apodaca or Jennings for the very same reasons.
And I know that you've been referring to your report is documenting sort of everything that you do throughout the process, a normal course of your business.
Absolutely.
Okay. Permission to approach the witness?
Yes, show counsel what you have.
He did, Your Honor. Thank you.
Come on up.
Mr. Smith, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as state certificate number 84. Would you take a look at that? Do you recognize that?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
I'm familiar with it. It's the report that I authored. Has my digital signature on it.
And is it the report that you authored for this specific case?
It is.
All right. At this point, I would move it into evidence.
Any objection to 84?
No objection, Your Honor.
84 is admitted.
I pass the witness.
Cross-examination? counsel?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
He has literally excluded your client. Nothing he can say is going to have anything to do with whether or not he
Good
told you to
afternoon.
do it.
So I just want to try to clear some things up. When you visually identified those three prints on the sword, did you make a specific label for each one in your
did.
notes? What are those labels? Is it 5A, 5B, and 5C?
Mm,
And if you need to look at your notes, you can.
thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
5A, 5B, 5C.
Okay, and all three of those were found on the sword?
Correct.
Okay, so where on the sword was 5A found?
I marked it on the sword. I don't specifically remember what I did, 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I know you take pictures while you're doing this entire process. Would it help maybe if you looked at the pictures, you might be able to remember where you found it on the sword?
Well, and I'm going to speculate, no, because the pictures I have are close-ups of the actual latent impressions, not where, but I'm highly confident that the prints are on the blade.
Okay, and 5A is what we're talking about right now.
Okay,
Okay, and that was identified as being the middle finger of Kiara McCulley,
right middle finger, yes.
right middle finger. And you're saying that was on the blade?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and let's talk about 5B real quick. You also found 5B on the sword, right?
Correct.
That one was a right loop pattern, I think.
5B, yes.
And do you remember where on the sword you found that one?
I do not, but somewhere in the back of my brain, I believe all of these were on the blade, but I can't say for 100% certain unless I actually examine the item again,
Okay,
because I did mark them.
gotcha. Do you want to try to look at your pictures? I mean, do you have black and white photos there? Is that
No,
what-
I have color.
No,
You do have a color?
Yeah.
Have you already looked at them and you just can't tell?
No.
Okay. All right, where were we with 5B?
Yes, 5B, right slant loop.
Yeah, okay. And who does it belong to?
We don't know.
Okay, now you did try to enhance that one, right?
Yes,
And it ended up being an inclusion, exclusion.
yes, it is a right slant loop, but there's not enough information there. It's too fragmented, I guess, for me to make any kind of identification, but I know it's right slant loop, so I can eliminate people, and I did eliminate people.
And you eliminated Isaac Apodaca.
I did.
Okay. And let's see, we did 5A and 5B. Let's look at 5C. 5C you also found on the sword.
Correct.
That's why it's called 5, because you called the sword 5.
When I mark or number latent impressions, they are a sub of the actual item number. So all these, the A, B, and C, means that they came from item 5.
Okay. And item 5C was the left palm print of Kiara McCauley,
Correct,
and you found it on the sword,
correct.
but you don't remember where?
No.
Okay. And bottom line is you didn't find Isaac Apodaca's fingerprints on that sword,
I did not.
and you didn't find Isaac Apodaca's fingerprints on the sheath?
I found
Oh my
ridge
God.
detail that was insufficient for comparison. I don't know who it belongs to.
Okay. And what about the dagger?
Same thing.
Okay, so, and what about the sheath for the dagger?
Same thing, insufficient ridge detail. I could not determine source of any of that insufficient ridge detail and attribute to any specific individual.
Okay, and just to be clear for the jury, Isaac Apodaca is not, his fingerprints are not identified on the sword, on the dagger sheath,
Correct,
nor is he identified on the dagger.
correct.
Okay. Okay, and you guys do quality control in your lab, right?
We do.
And how does that work?
Depends on.
Oh my
specifics.
God, it depends on
So
the damn
part of the
test.
quality control is
Thank-
evidence intake, making sure everything is sealed, nothing's coming out of its, excuse me, packaging or anything else. Same thing when I am analyzing evidence or processing evidence, I make sure that.
Do you
package is
want him to
sealed when I
find
get
his
it.
prints?
When I open
You
it,
sound crazy.
everything is as described. If not, I document what it is. When doing chemical processing techniques on items, we use control strips to make sure that the chemicals are working correctly and we're going to get the expected results.
Okay, and then your results, once you're done with your analysis, is it reviewed by somebody else?
That is also part of quality control. So my comparisons are verified by another competent examiner. And then when my whole package is put together, it's sent for technical review, looking for making sure I did everything correctly and like I was supposed to. If it passes technical review, it goes for administrative review, making sure all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted and I got periods in the right place.
Okay, and do you remember who reviewed your work in this case?
In this particular case, my verifications were done by my supervisor, Bonnie Knoll. I don't know who administratively reviewed it, but it was either Teresa Vigil Miranda or William Gagne, because that at the time were the only people in the office.
Okay, and if they had disagreed with your results, they would have marked that on your report?
They would have sent it back for corrections, yes.
Okay, and they didn't do that?
I don't recall. I may have had some grammatical stuff going on in this case or typos or something, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
So when they're doing that, when you say they're doing that review, is it just dotting your I's and crossing your T's? Or are they also looking at, are they analyzing the prints the same way you did?
The technical, well, the verification, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then the technical review is done by the person who does the verifications to make sure all my processing techniques were recorded, documented. I used my controls. I used all the appropriate processing methods. So yes.
And what kind of experience and training does Miss Knoll have, if you know?
She's been
You keep asking if they got quality
the
control.
supervisor of the
Yo,
supervisor and the technical lead of the unit for, I don't know, I want to say at least 15 years. I think she has over 20 years in the field.
Okay, so these prints have basically been reviewed by two different analysts.
Yes. Oh, and Ms. Knoll is also a certified latent print examiner from the International Association for Identification.
Okay. Now, are you careful with cross-contamination when you're doing your analysis of these items?
If the item has been submitted for any other type of an analysis, specifically DNA analysis, then yes, I take extreme measures to try and prevent contamination.
And was this, were these items also submitted for DNA analysis, if you know?
I believe the sword was. I don't know about the other items, but I do have the submission form with me. I could tell you.
Let's do it. Thank you.
May we approach?
Come on.
Because what are you doing? What is the point? Like, this is absolutely. I wonder if like shit traveled to his brain by boat. Like in his mind, what he really want to do is prove that 2 examiners or all these credentials, qualifications, all this tenure, and ain't nobody on there but Kiara. But it sounds like you're saying, you sure y'all ain't missed something? You sure you ain't on there? You look, did she look? Did she find a problem? What's her qualifications? You don't have no cross-contamination, do you? Man, I would have let him out of there so fast. Because what he said was not your client. So that gives you a narrow thing to worry about. You got a narrow tunnel to worry about. Them text messages. Did he somehow Harley Quinn her into doing this? Is this some Joker and Harley Quinn mess? It's like you're trying to create more problems.
Did you find
He
a sword?
already created
did.
enough on his
All right.
own. Oh, Bobby
So,
Boucher.
What, the sword was sent? Tell us what happened.
The sword was submitted for latent print examination and DNA analysis.
And so did you follow the protocol necessary for it to be sent to DNA analysis?
I did.
Okay. Why
Uh,
don't you explain to the jury what that involves?
So when I have an item that is going to have subsequent DNA,
First defense
Analysis
needs to
on
be a
it?
prosecutor or something. Because what is he?
I do this anyway, but I always use clean butcher paper. I wear gloves.
He didn't need to ask.
And when I handle items for DNA analysis, I wear what I refer to as a clean room suit. I have a Tyvek hood. I have a Tyvek suit. I wear a mask and I have a face shield. I wear that with gloves, change my gloves every time I handle something different or I move the item to avoid any kind of cross-contamination if I touch something by accidentally. But the suit, the mask, and the gloves is the precautions I take when handling items for subsequent DNA analysis.
And do you sterilize the work area before you do that?
I use a bleach solution for my bench before I put down my paper. I use the same bleach solution to decontaminate any kind of pens, implements I'll use, like my box cutter to open things up, or my letter opener to open up envelopes. I have some wire cutters because sometimes things are zip tied to their box. Probably was in this case, so I had to cut those. So everything is decontaminated before I start. And I do that after I put on my suit.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Nothing on redirect.
For what?
Would reserve
I'm about to say.
You're being reserved for possible recall. The attorneys will stay in touch with you and let you know if you need to come back and testify.
Come back for what?
Don't discuss your testimony with anyone. Don't seek out any other information about the case.
Yes, sir.
Feel free to step down. Thank you. Additional testimony or evidence on behalf of the state.
State calls Rosalind Archuleta, Your Honor.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, in between witnesses, if you want us to stand up and stretch in place, you're welcome to do that.
This must be DNA.
Good afternoon. I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please have a seat. You begin by stating your name for a record. See, you have some documents. Don't refer to any documents unless
That's
you're
fine.
directed to by the, you just close your.
Sure.
If you begin by introducing yourself to the jury by stating your name and spelling it for our record, please.
Yes, my name is Rosalind Archuleta. First name is Rosynd. Last name is Archuleta, Archuleta.
Murphy, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell the jury what you do for a living?
Yes, I am a forensic scientist in the DNA unit at the New Mexico Department of Public Safety Forensic Laboratory here in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
We just heard from Mr. Jeffrey Smith from the latent unit. Do the latent and the DNA units work kind of near each other?
They're near each other. We're in the same laboratory, but in different sections.
Okay. And how long have you been with the New Mexico Department of Public Safety Forensic Laboratory?
About 18 and a half years now.
Okay. What's your role there?
I am a forensic scientist primarily, but I also supervise the DNA section.
Okay. And what's your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology in Socorro, New Mexico. I also have some clinical laboratory casework from the University of New Mexico Medical Laboratory Sciences program. After that, I started employment at Genzyme Genetics in Santa Fe, and then I moved to the Department of Public Safety to start work as a forensic scientist.
What do your duties include as a forensic scientist in the DNA section?
What I do is I look at crime scene evidence that has been collected by law enforcement and has been submitted to our laboratory to determine whether or not there might be biological material on an item of evidence so that I can collect a sample from that and then proceed with DNA testing. I also look at known DNA standards or reference samples that are collected from an individual. Those are different in the fact that they have their own chain of custody. We know they came from a particular individual, and those are submitted to the laboratory for comparison purposes to any evidence profiles that might be generated. Once I perform evidence examinations, I move forward with the DNA testing steps, make any conclusions, and then write a report with my findings.
Okay. And is the New Mexico Department of Public Safety crime lab or forensic laboratory, is it accredited?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell the jury about that?
Yes, we are accredited by A2LA, which is the American Association for Laboratory Accreditation. And what that means is that our laboratory is recognized by an outside agency. And they recognize the fact that by examining all of our processes, we are staffed with fully qualified and competent scientists to perform casework on, or to perform testing on casework samples.
Thank you. Have you ever testified as an expert witness?
Yes, I have.
Roughly how many times?
I believe today is 73.
And have you been qualified as an expert in forensic DNA analysis and serology?
Yes.
And do you teach and train in your field?
I do. I have taught law enforcement. I've also taught one semester of a college course as well.
Okay. And are you a member of any professional organizations?
Yes, I belong to both AFS, which is the, American Association of Forensic Scientists. I believe that's correct. And also the Southwestern Association for Forensic Sciences.
Your Honor, at this time I tender Ms. Archuleta as an expert witness in forensic DNA analysis and serology.
No objection, Your Honor.
She is so received. You need to discuss what serology is.
Yes, Judge. What is serology?
Excuse me. Serology is a process of testing that I can perform when I'm examining casework that helps me determine what type of biological fluid may or may not be present. So for example, I have a color change test that helps indicate whether or not blood may or may not be present on an item. Should I perform that test on a stain that might warrant that type of testing? I look for a color change. I look for a bright pink color that indicates to me that blood, in fact, is indicated on that item. It looks like blood, it acts like blood, and for all intents and purposes, it appears to be blood. So I can collect a sample from that and move forward with testing and see if I find human DNA on that item and therefore arrive at a DNA profile. If that color change does not occur, then blood is not present on that item.
And when you're talking about this color change to pink, the item itself doesn't have a color change, does it? It's just like a swab you take from the item?
Correct. It would be a swab that I would moisten and then swab any staining that I might find on the surface of an item. And then I test that swab either by taking a small cutting of it or testing the swab itself to determine if there's a color change from that material that was collected from the item.
Okay, let's have you define a couple of terms. You've already defined a known standard or a DNA standard
Yes.
or a reference sample, as it's sometimes called. But what is DNA?
DNA is the biological material within almost all of your cells. The only exception to that is a red blood cell, because red blood cells don't have a nucleus. So it's the genetic information inside of your body that helps code for who you are as an individual. You get half of the DNA from your mother and half of the DNA from your father. That makes you as a unique individual. There are small portions of that DNA that are very unique to each individual. Some of our information codes for the same types of things. It gives you 2 arms and 2 legs. But we look at unique information. Some of it might give us things like maybe you have blue eyes or brown eyes. But the information that I look at as a forensic scientist is unique in nature and doesn't code for any information, but it's very highly variable between individuals.
What type of cells, you mentioned that blood cells cannot leave or they don't have a nucleus, but what forms of DNA may you be able to pick up? Or how is DNA left behind? I guess is a better way of asking that.
DNA can be left behind in various different ways. For example, if I'm speaking, I'm not wearing a mask right now, I might have little bits of saliva on the surface in front of me. That saliva has skin cells inside of it that have a nucleus. When we're talking about whether or not there might be a blood stain on an item, those red blood cells don't have a nucleus, but there are white blood cells inside of your blood that do have a nucleus. And so we can still get DNA from blood. There's also the possibility of obtaining DNA sample from semen left behind from, any sort of interaction. And so we can also obtain DNA from hairs as well. Various different materials that come from the body can be left behind on surfaces, including skin cells.
And speaking of skin cells, what is touch DNA?
Touch DNA would be, so for example, if I had a water bottle and I pick up that water bottle repeatedly, I might be leaving skin cells behind on that item. And so that would be DNA that is left behind from me touching that item, and I might be able to swab for that and find my DNA profile.
Is it possible for someone to touch or handle an item but not leave detectable amounts of DNA behind?
Objection leading.
Can you talk about circumstances under which DNA may or may not be detectable?
Yes. Firstly, DNA may not be detectable because somebody might not have touched an item. It may also not be detectable because maybe somebody wore gloves, presuming that we're talking about handling an item with our hands. It may also not be detectable or may be very low in quantity because somebody might have touched it for a very short period of time. Or maybe they did not leave very many skin cells behind, even if they held it for longer. So the reasons that a person might not leave DNA behind can vary.
Thank you. What is a major profile and a minor profile?
When we are talking about DNA testing, it's important to know that when we are looking at the DNA, what I see is a picture of the DNA, or what we call an electropherogram. It's a fancy word for a visual representation of the pieces of DNA that have come from that item of evidence. I can tell by looking at that DNA profile or the electropherogram, that picture of the DNA, whether or not there might be one individual there or whether or not there might be multiple individuals in that DNA profile. So when I'm talking about a major or a minor DNA profile, I'm talking about a DNA mixture. So a DNA mixture is a combination of DNA from at least 2 individuals, if not possibly more. So going back to the example of the water bottle, if I take a drink of that water bottle and I'm the only person that takes a drink of that water bottle, I expect to find my own DNA there and nobody else's. But if I share that water bottle with one of my friends, I would expect to see DNA from two people there because we're both sharing that water bottle. Now, if my friend came by and took just a quick little swig and put it down and went about their business, I would expect to see probably a lower amount of DNA in that DNA mixture. However, if that friend of mine took my water bottle and really liked, what I had in my bottle, and kept drinking from that, I would expect they would leave a lot more DNA behind, possibly even more than me if they took it from me and didn't give it back. And so I might be able to see that there is a difference in the amount of DNA present. So I might be able to see one person's DNA profile higher or in more quantity than the other person's DNA profile. And in that case, that would be a major DNA profile because I can see that major contributor. And on the flip side of that, there would be a contributor that is lesser in quantity. And so that would be the minor DNA profile.
And you mentioned the concept of quantity. What happens if there's not, is there a threshold you have to meet in order to say whether it's someone's DNA or not someone's DNA? Or to draw any conclusions from the amount of DNA or the DNA?
Yes. So our protocol gives us guidelines that help us to determine whether there is enough DNA present in a sample in order to interpret that DNA profile. When there is a very low quantity, we might not be able to make any interpretation. Quite often that might happen with a minor DNA profile. If I'm seeing a very small amount of DNA in that minor component of a mixture, I might not be able to make any interpretation or comparisons to that. There is also a situation in which I could have a single source profile, and maybe there's just not a lot of DNA present there. And when I have that situation, I don't have enough information to make any interpretation. So I may at that point need to call that DNA profile insufficient in quantity and not be able to make comparisons to that as well.
I'll just ask you to explain very briefly to the jury, as briefly as possible to the jury, the process by which you are assigned a case, receive the items from a case, and the serology and DNA testing process.
When a case is brought to our laboratory by law enforcement, that case is taken to our evidence section, and the evidence technicians bring the case in, assign it a unique case number, and place that case in the vault and wait for a scientist to be ready to work the case. So when I am ready to work a case, I obtain a copy of the submission form, or what we call a board copy in-house. And what that is it's essentially a receipt between the laboratory and law enforcement that details the number of items that have been submitted in a case for testing and what type of testing is going to be performed. So when I have that copy of the submission form, I'm looking for items that are coming into the laboratory for DNA testing. And then I can request those items that I need to perform testing on from the evidence unit. When I do that, I will request those items of the evidence section. And when they have pulled those from the secure vault that I do not have access to, they have to transfer chain of custody over to me for those items of evidence. And when they do that, I have to put my password into a computer system to switch all of the chain of custody over to my name so that it's reflected that I have all of those items for testing. Once I'm ready to start work on the case, let me backtrack.
Please don't.
When I have those items of evidence in my custody, I will take those up to my own locker that has its own unique code for me to get into and store my items of evidence. If I need to wait to start testing, I will put those in my locker,
No
lock them up,
no quality control.
and wait until I am ready to start evidence examinations. If I'm ready to start those right away, I might go directly to my bench to do that. When I perform that testing, I then look at evidence items first, and then I look at any reference items last, just so as to preserve the integrity of the evidence by examining the evidence first.
Okay, thank you. And you just talked about evidence integrity. What steps do you take? What, if any, steps do you take to avoid cross-contamination?
In the laboratory, we deal with this in multiple different ways. When we start testing, we are using clean instruments to perform testing. I am making sure that my bench is clean, everything is wiped down. We use bleach to decontaminate. I use clean bench paper. I use clean razor blades. Everything I touch has been bleached to ensure that there is no potential or very, very minimal potential for any sort of contamination from my bench itself. I am also using things like a crosslinker. A crosslinker is a machine that I can put items like tubes that I'm going to collect DNA samples in. I can put that in a crosslinker, and it helps break down any residual DNA that might be present on that item so that I have a clean tube to work with. In addition to that, we are always wiping down our laboratory on a routine basis. That is done by all laboratory personnel, both in the general laboratory and all equipment, as well as at our own benches. When I perform DNA testing on items, I am making sure that everything is clean, brand new, cross-linked under the UV light, and making sure that it is ready for use. In addition to that, we also use blanks. Our blanks during testing help us to determine that the steps of DNA testing are clean at every step. So I'm going to run reagent blanks with all of my samples to ensure that anything I add into my samples is clean. I expect to see no DNA profile if I'm adding reagents to that blank as I'm testing it. The major DNA profile that was resolved from the mixture matched the DNA profile from Grace Jennings. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be a source of the DNA profile is approximately 1 in 24 octillion individuals. Both Kiara McCulley and Isaac Apodaca are eliminated as sources of that major DNA profile, and I could not make any interpretation or comparisons to the minor component of that DNA mixture due to an insufficient quantity of DNA in the sample.
So you just mentioned a number of 24 octillion. Can you tell the jury what octillion is? An octillion?
Yes. So octillion is
Say how many zeros now.
is an incredibly large number. There are approximately 8 billion individuals on the entire Earth. So this number is much, much, much larger than that. And so in my opinion, I would not expect to see any other person with that DNA profile unless that person had an identical twin.
And just the number 24 octillion, how many zeros would that be roughly?
Oh, 27, I believe.
So 24 followed by 27 zeros?
Yes.
Thank you. And you said that the minor profile component, you could not make any interpretations.
That's correct.
Right. And then you mentioned item 1.2. What was that?
Yes, item 1.2 was a scraping and cutting of the inner neck area of that blue sweater.
Okay. And why did you scrape that inner neck area of the sweater?
To determine who could have potentially been wearing that item.
Okay. And what did your testing reveal on that item?
On that item, there was a DNA mixture of at least 3 individuals. The major DNA profile resolved from that mixture matched the DNA profile from Kiara McCulley. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of that major DNA profile is approximately 1 in 360 octillion individuals. Both Grace Jennings and Isaac Apodaca were eliminated as a source of the major DNA profile that was resolved from that mixture. And I could not make any interpretation or comparisons regarding the minor component of that mixture due to an insufficient quantity of DNA in the sample.
Thank you. Item number 2, did you receive an item number 2 is the lab item number?
Yes,
And did that correspond to agency number, item number 5?
I don't recall what it corresponded to
Okay, but you labeled
as far as the agency
okay.
number, sorry.
What was lab item number 2?
Lab item number 2 was a pair of black pants.
Okay. And what did you observe when you examined those black pants?
There was staining on the right leg of the pants.
Okay. And did you do anything regarding that staining?
I did perform both serology and DNA testing on those.
Okay. And what was the results of your serology testing from the staining on the front right leg of those pants?
Blood was indicated on that item.
And then you took it on to DNA testing?
Yes.
And what was the result of your DNA testing on 2.1, the swab from the staining of the pants?
The DNA profile that was obtained from item 2.1 matched the DNA profile from Grace Jennings.
Okay. And did you do any other additional testing on that item?
I did perform testing on the inner waistband of the pants.
And why did you test the inner waistband of those black pants?
Again, to determine who may have been wearing that item.
Okay. And on that item, was that 2.2?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And from that scraping or cutting from the inner waistband of those black pants, what did your testing resolve or reveal, excuse me?
There was a DNA mixture of at least 3 individuals on that item. Kiara McCulley, Isaac Apodaca, and Grace Jennings could not be eliminated as possible contributors to the DNA mixture obtained from that item.
And what do you mean when you say could not be eliminated?
In my opinion, they are included in that DNA mixture.
All 3 individuals, Kiara McCauley, Isaac Apodaca, and Grace Jennings were included in that mixture?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 3. What was item number 3?
See,
Item number 3 was a red t-shirt.
And did you perform any, did you swab any stains or take any scrapings or cuttings from that item?
I did.
All right. Let's talk about item 3.1. What was that?
Item 3.1 was a sample from the upper left side of the shirt near the shoulder. There was a red-brown stain in that area that I did perform serology testing on. Blood was indicated on that item, so I moved forward with DNA testing.
Okay. And what did your testing on that swab reveal?
On item 3.1, there was a DNA mixture of at least 2 individuals. A major unknown female DNA profile was resolved from that
May we
mixture.
approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
approach for what? On the inner waistband and the pants. I'm just gonna hope and pray that it's, well, shit. There you go. And at this point, I got an idea who the unknown female is. Because you ain't going to tell me that mama did not hear that girl screaming that night. And I wish I would put something too dirty in my mama's laundry room, let alone something with some blood on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take probably just about a 5-minute recess.
Jesus.
You would go with the bailiff, Angel.
Mama. Who else was in there besides the mama? That's why she don't want to relive it. Because her ass was part of it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you will go with the bailiff, we'll bring you back in the courtroom in just a few minutes.
All right.
Man, listen.
You may step down. Don't discuss your testimony with anyone during the break. Looks like there's an exhibit in front of you. Counsel, would you come and retrieve that? Looks like that's, what's that, 87?
84, I believe.
84. Yep. May be seated in the courtroom. The bailiff is going to identify the juror and we'll call him back in first.
Okay, and actually, Judge, since we're doing this, I mean, also if we could talk to the juror on the far right, front row, I suspected that she may have been sleeping as well.
Okay, yeah, I don't know her name and I didn't instruct the bailiff to find that out for me, but we'll check. We're off the record for a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me double check because I think we could be a little bit more live than what we are. Oh no, we're live. I was about to say. Oh, we can scoot it up a little bit, Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord. I understand we gotta get all this out about Grace because we need to show that what his conspiracy caused, but baby, get to the text messages. The text messages, please. Kiara on that stand gonna be a mess. I'm telling you now. If she's gonna be on there Monday, I might not be able to clock in. I might need to be just chilling in case I need something stronger than coffee. Cause I did not miss that in those openings where they said that girl was still a little delulu about some of the stuff that man had told her. Uh-oh, I had the wrong thing. That was you. Hello?
Yeah. We still alive.
Mm-hmm. They didn't kick us out the room for a second.
Fonda says she getting Chinese food, honey. I'm trying to wait on that door, that group order to come through.
Man, oh man. That's what I meant to ask you. The black purse that I already own that look like all the flowers on it.
I do like that.
Can I get away with that for the wedding?
Yeah.
Because if I can wear, I got that one. I actually wore that to Kayla's baby shower.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sharonda said, Tiffany, we're Ratatouille.
Honey, somewhere gone, honey. I don't know. I don't care.
Honey.
Once I realize he can get in there, James gonna say, well, yes or no. Hurry up and answer because I'm finna jump out this window. I ain't got the time for that.
Man, I would have crashed that car.
Man, if I was driving, it would have been that. Listen, don't belong to me no more.
Well, they said ghost ride.
Make sure you register this in your name. Ghost ride for real.
Because I would have been out the car running the other direction when
I'm talking about Guinness World Record ghost riding. Do you hear what I'm saying? Oh.
Maybe the way I would have been on the outside at that time. Lucky at no old school, because if it was something like them old cars mommy used to have with that little push-in lighter, I'd have popped that sucker right in and threw it right down my hood. We'd all with a ball of fire down that highway because baby, oh, it's got to go.
For real.
Usher said, let it burn. Because, baby, there ain't no way in the world I ever trust being able to get back in that car. And I can't park it in the garage because now I think 50 and everybody else going west and going to come in my house.
I am calling the emergency police number. If y'all don't get here, it's going to be a pile up like y'all ain't.
I remember I got pulled over on Sunbury going past Drea's house where Drea used to live because a bee got in my car. And, baby, the way that car bumped into that dang on curb, that cop was following me down Sunbury. I know he thought I was trying to run, but I was going left and right. When I went, spent that big old, what street was that? Had that little piece of hill. Baby, I went that piece of hill and hopped that curb, hopped out, and was shirtless in my that cop. Put your hands. I mean, what are you doing? Baby, that beast was gonna kill me. And then when he said why, I said my mom was allergic and I don't want to figure out the fire is. He said what?
And then back in the day, it was at the early 2000s. Mr. Kate is going crazy. We was in the car. Bug landed on her. She swatted it off. We was pulled over on the side of the freeway. Everybody was jumping out. She had a car full.
No. Something jump in the car with me, I'm jumping out. He can have it.
To say I don't do nothing that got more
legs than me. No. Not the fuck at all.
Yes.
The sad part is I had PTSD because every time he drove that fucking car, my ass would be somewhere shaking. I don't care what I would be able to do it. He'd never be able to drive. He had to get a new one. You're going to drive one of the other cars and that one got to go. I can't never get in it again.
Yeah, I was terrified. Like, just get me home so I can.
Because I'm sure it's not
clear my mind.
Listen, ain't no, and I'm sure my way of getting it out of there ain't gonna be the conducive to the health of the car because I'm throwing Clorox, hot Clorox under that hood.
Any hail damage that anyone has seen to a car, I'd have been bashing that hood with anything heavy I could find: a wrench, a crowbar, a hammer, a high heel, a skillet, anything. You coming out of here?
That car would have been looking like what was that when Craig was getting off there? My roof.
You seen the remnants of me taking down a fly, so that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Your brother did that too. I had to make him change all the dang on blinds out. He took all them blinds out, and I just looked at it. I couldn't never look at him. Destiny, you okay over there, lactose intolerant?
Honey.
That lady Tillery like Tillery. I missed that video. Her and the lady that kept trying to figure out salmonella. The lady Tillerillas.
Once you get close to turn on you.
That's so he betrayed your ass, didn't it?
But lifted it out your legs.
Anger and silence kick in.
He said I couldn't even drink it good.
Yeah, take off running.
I told my sister and supervisor, like, I gotta go. This ain't gonna work. So I keep going to the bathroom.
Dear God.
Ain't nothing like having to take off running first thing in the morning. It's fuck your whole day up, don't it?
God damn. All I wanted was some coffee. I'm afraid to eat now. Hey.
Oh God.
Jesus.
Oh God. Yeah, you can't be messing with whole milk. You see why Pop drank skim milk after that? Our whole life.
When I eat the other day, it was something. I'm like, this is This ain't gonna work. It's too greasy. It's about to fuck me up. But I was hungry as fuck. And it was last for 10 minutes. And
You
right
can't
back
do
to
stuff
it.
you
Like,
used to do.
God
You
damn.
can't eat everything, but I'm gonna tell you when you better eat everything before you have a drink, because I cannot have a drink without a full meal
Come up and have
Oh,
a seat
yeah.
in the
on my
center
stomach.
right here.
And I'll
Oh,
tell you
yeah.
that.
I need to turn on that microphone and speak to you. The reason I asked you to come back in is during the last testimony of the last witness, it appeared that you fell asleep.
For an instant, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you
I
have
caught
any,
myself.
do you have any idea of how long?
I instantly, I caught my elbow went off the chair instantly and I got a little nudge, I felt like. It was instant.
Okay.
It was the same exact lawyer talking when I popped out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned that inside.
Mentioned that inside.
I said, God, I can't believe I kind of nodded off. I said that to myself.
Okay.
I've been
Do you?
It was the same lawyer talking.
Yeah, hang on a second. With regard to the testimony, do you recall what the witness was testifying to or the last question you remember hearing?
the ins and outs of the processes for the forensics.
Okay. Do you recall any of the individual item numbers that were discussed or what was found or not found on those
Not
items?
maybe not an item number, no, sir.
Okay. Okay, those are the court's questions. Counsel, do you have any questions? Mr. Long, Ms. Murphy?
You said it was on the background about the testing process?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. All right. So have you heard the testimony so far about the results on the items that were tested?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm still not clear as to.
It was instant, Judge.
Okay. On behalf of Mr. Apodaca, any questions for a juror?
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand this is
Yes,
a
sir.
long,
No,
testimony.
I'm very serious about this, sir.
Yeah, but you did hear what the conclusions were, right?
Yes,
Okay, and you just can't remember maybe some of
just
the
the item
individual
numbers.
Okay. You said you dozed off instantaneously?
Yeah, I mean, it was a nod off, that's it. I caught it.
Okay. So, do you think you're gonna have trouble paying attention moving forward?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And, yeah, even if the testimony gets a little bit boring, because this is.
No, I'm
this
very
is a boring
serious.
stretch, something
Yeah.
the state and I will agree on. This is kind of but it is important.
Yes, understood, absolutely.
Certainly the conclusions are important, and you were able to, can you tell me what you were able to garner from the conclusions?
Well, I understood that the forensics showed,
Objection, Your Honor, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine.
Inappropriate question as to what is.
okay, as long as, I mean,
I'm very serious about this, yes, sir.
okay, thank you. That's all I have there.
Thank you. Just ask that you go back to the jury room with the others. Don't discuss this conversation.
Absolutely.
What it was about. Okay. If you'd bring the other juror in. Off the record until she comes in. I would just ask you to come up to the third chair there by that microphone. I need to get your voice. The reason I asked the bailiff to bring you in is during the last presentation, it appeared that you might have nodded off during
Oh,
the
no, sir,
testimony.
not at all.
Okay.
What would make you think that?
just observations. I mean, I see people put their heads down. I see people close their eyes and don't know if they're listening, but just not looking up, or if
Yeah.
they've actually.
I'm sure that was it.
um,
Not,
do
not,
you-
not at all sleepy.
Do you recall the sequence, the questions and answers that were being given by the witness?
Absolutely.
Okay. Those are the court's questions, counsel.
No questions.
At any point, did he fall asleep?
No, sir.
During the testimony? Okay. That's all I have here.
If you just go back to the jury room for a moment, don't discuss this conversation with the other jurors.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Okay, outside the hearing, please have a seat. Outside the hearing, presence of the jury with counsel and Mr. Apodaca present. The first gentleman is juror number 8 on your list. Concerns, input, suggestions, first from the state and then for the defense with respect to the first juror we called in.
Your Honor, he said it was an instant nod off during, that he caught himself as soon as it happened. And it was during the background information on the DNA testing process that he's otherwise been awake and paying attention. It appears to have been literally instant. So the state thinks it's appropriate to keep him on. We would just ask for the defense position. Sorry, I just put a cough drop in while we're outside the jury presence. We've just asked for the defense presence position under State v. Lujan. It's not a reported case. It's 2024 Westlaw 390000101. I think just having a clear defense position on the record preserves, it makes a clear record.
Absolutely, Judge. I think he remedied the situation. I mean, he did say, I mean, he was honest, forthcoming. He did, you said he briefly dozed off. He did, sounds like he remembers the conclusions, although not the specific, the numbers that you were asking him about. But I think, frankly, a lot of these jurors may not remember some of those specifics. So I think I'm okay now. I mean, Mr. Cameron is handling this witness and has handling a lot of stuff today. So I'll keep an eye on him, I do keep an eye on the jurors and just look over there. So I'll see if he's dozing off again. I'm pretty sure now that he's been brought over here now, he's probably not.
Right, they're gonna start nodding off. Tell her to keep it succinct, make it plain. Just tell us who was where. Good God.
So I'm just parroting back. Neither party is asking that the juror be removed. We'll
Just hurry it up. You're already there. They'll wake up from text messages.
Was mentioned. So he'll remain on the panel. The second juror, let me find her. I'm sorry, I can't find her juror number. While I'm looking, on behalf of the state, any concerns about her remaining on the panel?
No concerns, Your Honor. She was adamant. She has not dozed off.
And I agree
Okay.
with that, Judge. That was actually not today. It was earlier in the week that I had noticed her, and that was the thing with her. But then, like I said, I wasn't sure if she was just sleeping or if maybe her eyes were turned on.
The way I asked her the question, it implied that had just occurred, so I did not know your reference.
Yeah.
She's seated number 1, just for the records and for counsel. She's currently juror number 1.
And Judge, as far as that, I wouldn't bring that up, but in regards to that one particular juror, or the first juror that we brought in, I do think it was more than instantaneous because I was observing him for a while. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked Mr. Cameron to have us approach. And he did say something like, when he woke up, he realized Ms. Murphy is still testifying, so, or questioning, excuse me. So almost seems like he himself realized maybe he was out for a minute, but that's why I had concerns. But at this point, I think we can proceed with him, and like I said, I can keep an eye on the jurors and see what's going on.
Okay. We'll call the jury back in and continue with the same witness on the stand if he'll ever come in.
Yes, Judge.
We're off the record until the jury comes back.
All right, y'all. While we waiting on the jury to come back, somebody got to tell me about this Alicia Brown. Y'all know I try to stay out of folk business to go into a courtroom, but apparently her stuff has already been in the courtroom and she just been on the run. Who the like? I think Big Tigger need to get his ass on an episode of Who the F Did I Marry? Cause where is the kid? Like, how you just go on with your life? First of all, in a lot of states favor the mother. I can't say for sure that her state does, but I'm saying in most cases, the mother gets the benefit of the doubt. So I feel like it has to be a really big thing. Who's 17 now? Oh, Sharonda, no. No. The child they talking about ain't never been found.
She is 17 now, though. They're right about that. She's 17 years old.
Are you? No.
All right. Come back up to the podium. And get
Wherever she is, she's 17. Where's she at? That's the problem.
You may be seated in the courtroom. We continue in the state's case in chief, Ms. Murphy.
Ms. Archuleta, right before the break, we started talking about item 3.1, the stain from the left shoulder.
Yes,
Of the red shirt.
correct.
If you could explain to the jury your findings from the testing you conducted on item 3.1, the stain from the front shirt, left shoulder of the red shirt.
Yes, there was a DNA mixture of at least 2 individuals on item
That's
3.1. The major DNA profile that was resolved from the mixture was an unknown female DNA profile. Kiara McCauley, Isaac Apodaca, and Grace Jennings are all eliminated as the source of that major DNA profile, and no interpretation or comparisons could be made regarding the minor component of that mixture due to an insufficient quantity of DNA in the sample.
And was there an item 3.2 as it related to the red shirt?
Yes.
What was what did you do for 3.2?
The only difference in the testing from 3.1 to 3.2 is that 3.2 did not have any serology testing because it was a sample from the waistband. But the DNA profile that I arrived at was the same as item 3.1. A DNA mixture of at least 2 individuals was obtained from 3.2. The major DNA profile was an unknown female DNA profile, the same unknown DNA profile. And Kiara McCauley, Isaac Apodaca, and Grace Jennings were all eliminated as the source of that major DNA profile. No interpretation or comparisons could be made regarding the minor component of that DNA mixture due to an insufficient quantity of DNA in the sample.
And you said that it was a scraping or a sample from the waistband. Did you mean a different part of the shirt? The waist as a...
I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I said the waistband. I was thinking about the pants when I said that, but it is the red shirt and it was the inner neck portion. I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Okay. So 3.1 was the stain from the front of the shirt, and 3.2 is a scraping from the inner neck band of the
That
shirt.
is correct, yes.
Okay, and you stated that that was an unknown female profile, and all 3 individuals were eliminated from that?
Correct,
All 3 of the known standards?
correct.
Okay, let's move to item 4. What was item 4?
Item 4 was a piece of tissue with staining on it.
Okay, and can you describe the staining?
There was red-brown staining on the item.
And if you could just, do you recall the agency item number that was associated with?
I do not recall.
Would looking at your report refresh your recollection on
Yes,
that?
it would.
Okay, so if you could please check your report and then close it back for what agency, SFPD agency item number 4 was.
It was agency item number 14.
All right, thank you. Okay, and you said that on that item number 4, there was the red-brown staining. What testing did you perform on this item and what were your results?
I performed serology testing on that item and blood was indicated. I then moved forward with DNA testing, and the DNA profile that was obtained from item 4 matched the DNA profile from Kiara McCauley. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of this DNA profile is approximately 1 in 360 octillion individuals. Grace Jennings and Isaac Apodaca were eliminated as the source of that DNA profile.
Let's move to item 5. What was item 5?
Item 5,
What is item 5?
item 5 is a sword.
Okay. And did you take any swabs from item 5?
I did. I took a sample of staining from the blade of the sword, as well as a sample from the handle of the sword.
Okay. And what number is the swab of staining from the blade of the sword?
That is item 5.1.
Okay. And what was your testing and what were your results?
I did perform serology testing on that item and blood was indicated. On item 5.1, the DNA profile obtained from that item matched the DNA profile from Grace Jennings. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of this DNA profile is approximately 1 in 24 octillion individuals. Both Kiara McCauley and Isaac Apodaca were eliminated as the source of this DNA profile.
Okay. Was there an item 5.2?
Yes,
And what was that?
this was a swab of the handle of the sword.
Okay. And what was your testing and what was your results?
I did perform serology testing on this item as well. On item 5.2, which was a swab from the handle of the sword, no blood was detected on that item. And then I moved forward with DNA testing to determine who might have been holding that item. And the DNA I found on that item was a DNA mixture of at least 2 individuals. There was a major DNA profile that matched the DNA profile from Kiara McCauley. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of this major DNA profile is approximately 1 in 360 octillion individuals. Grace Jennings and Isaac Apodaca were eliminated as the source of that major DNA profile, and no interpretation or comparisons could be made regarding the minor component of that mixture due to an insufficient quantity of DNA in the sample.
And you said it's at least 2 individuals in that mixture, is that correct?
To my recollection, yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving to item 7. So I guess I should ask you, your lab items are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7, 8, 10, and so on. Why does it go from number 5 to number 7?
There were other items that were submitted that were not for DNA testing that were the items that are in between that.
Okay. Could that be like for latent testing or something else?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. So going to item 7, what was lab item 7?
Lab item 7 was a swab from, I believe it was behind the bed or behind the headboard of the bed on the wall there was a small room and garage that it was collected from.
Okay. And what was the testing that you performed on item 7, the swab abstained from the wall behind the bed? What was your testing and what did that reveal?
I did perform serology testing on that item. Blood was indicated on item 7. And on item 7, the DNA profile obtained from item 7 matched the DNA profile from Grace Jennings. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of this DNA profile is approximately 1 in 24 octillion individuals. Kiara McCulley and Isaac Apodaca were both eliminated as the source of that DNA profile.
Moving to item number, what were 8 and 10? What were items 8 and 10?
Item 8 was a DNA standard from Kiara McCulley.
Okay.
And item 10 was the DNA standard from Isaac Apodaca.
Moving on to the next item that you tested that you list as lab item 13. What was that?
Item 13 was a swab from a pillow.
And do you remember the agency number that that corresponded to?
I do not recall.
Would looking at your report refresh your recollection?
Yes, it would.
Your Honor, may she please refer to her report?
Yes.
Item 13 corresponds to agency item number 96.
Okay, and what was your testing on item 13 and what did it reveal?
I did perform serology testing on that item and blood was indicated. On item 13, the DNA profile obtained from item 13 matched the DNA profile from Grace Jennings. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of this DNA profile is approximately 1 in 24 octillion individuals. Kiara McCulley and Isaac Apodaca are eliminated as sources of the DNA profile obtained from this item.
Moving to the next item that you tested, item 14, and I will ask you if you know the agency item for that number.
Yes,
Or the agency number for that item.
Yes, I did look at that as well. And for item number 14, the agency item was item number 99.
Okay, and what was that?
And that item was a swab from sheets.
Okay, and what was your testing on that item and what did it reveal?
I performed serology testing on that item. Blood was indicated. When I performed the DNA testing on this item, the DNA profile obtained from item 14 matches the DNA profile from Grace Jennings. The probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random who could be the source of this DNA profile is approximately 1 in 24 octillion individuals. Kiara McCulley and Isaac Apodaca are eliminated as sources of the DNA profile obtained from this item.
And moving to the next item that was in your list, what was item 16?
Item number 16 was a DNA standard for Grace Jennings.
Okay, do you remember the agency number for that?
I do not.
Looking at your report, refresh your recollection.
Yes.
Your Honor, may she refer to her report?
Yes.
Item number 16 corresponds to agency item number 128.
Okay. And you said that was the DNA standard for Grace Jennings.
Correct.
Okay. Is that also called FTA blood spot?
Yes, that is the substrate sometimes that a sample might be placed on when they collect it.
That's what you used as your known DNA or reference standard for Grace.
Yes, that was what was submitted to the laboratory.
Right, thank you. Let's move to item 17 and the agency lab item numbers. What was that?
Item number 17 were the left fingernail clippings from Grace Jennings. And I collected a swab from under the nails. And I'm sorry, I'm not recalling the agency item number for this item.
Would looking at your report refresh your recollection?
Yes, it would.
Your Honor, may she refer to her report?
Yes.
Thank you. The agency item number this corresponds to is 129.
Okay. And let's talk about fingernail clippings for a moment. What kind of fingernails were clipped?
To my recollection, these were artificial nails. They were long, colored, and thick, and they were stained.
Okay. And where on the nails did you swab?
I swabbed underneath the nails, so on the concave surface.
Okay. And you said that they were artificial nails. Can you kind of explain to the jury the interplay, if you know, between an artificial nail and a real fingernail?
Certainly. So when someone has an artificial nail, and I've had these before, a lot of girls do, it is a material, not always the same type of material. There are different types, but they're placed on top of the nails. I don't know much about that in particular. However, having worn them myself, quite frequently, when there is something placed on top of the nail, there is the natural nail underneath. And when that grows out, it can create a little bit of a lip where it collects debris and things. And so when artificial nails are placed on there, occasionally there is the potential for being able to recover DNA from that area.
Okay. And from that lip, or is it sometimes almost like a pocket that can kind of form
Almost, yes. It's where the natural nail starts separating from the artificial.
Okay. And so let's talk about testing on item 17. What was the testing and what were your results?
On item 17, there was staining on that item. I did perform serology testing on that item and blood was indicated. On item 17, there was a DNA mixture of at least 2 individuals. There was a major DNA profile that was resolved from the mixture, and that DNA profile, the major DNA profile, was consistent with being from Grace Jennings. That is because it has been collected from her body. Kiara McCauley and Isaac Apodaca were eliminated as the source of that major DNA profile, and no interpretation or comparisons could be made regarding the minor component of that DNA mixture due to an insufficient quantity of DNA in the sample.
And when you discussed swabbing the clippings, how many of the fingernail clippings did you swab?
To my recollection, I believe there were 5 that I swabbed, but I don't recall whether or not there were small fragments off of them or not.
As to the left-hand fingernail clippings, you recall swabbing 5.
Yes.
Thank you. Now let's move to lab item number 18. What was 18? And if you recall the agency number for that.
I believe the agency item number for that is 130.
Okay. And what was your testing, or what was that item?
That item were the right-hand fingernail clippings from Grace Jennings, again swabbed under the concave surface of the nail.
And do you remember how many of the nails that you swabbed?
To my recollection, I believe it was 5 as well.
Okay.
Again, I don't recall whether or not there were smaller fragments.
And were these also acrylic nails with kind of a natural nail underlay?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Can you please tell the jury what your testing and results were?
Yes, I did perform serological testing on that item. When I performed that testing, blood was indicated. I moved forward with the DNA testing, and I found a DNA mixture of at least 2 individuals obtained from item, I'm sorry, 17, correct?
18.
18. On item 18, assuming that Grace Jennings is a contributor to that DNA mixture, there was a foreign male DNA profile, unknown male DNA profile that was deduced from this mixture. Both Kiara McCauley and Isaac Apodaca were eliminated as sources of that foreign DNA profile.
I'd like to go back to item 2.2 for a moment. That was the swabbing or the cutting of the inner waistband seam of the black pants.
Yes.
Okay, and you said that which 3 profiles were resolved from the inner waistband of the pants?
It was a DNA mixture of at least 3 individuals. Kiara McCauley, Isaac Apodaca, and Grace Jennings were all could not be eliminated as being possible contributors to that DNA mixture.
Okay. And what are DNA mixture statistics?
Statistical calculations are something that I perform as a forensic scientist to lend weight to an association. And so in this situation, because I have made associations to known DNA profiles, I'm going to list the statistical calculations to make sense of what this means with them being included in this DNA mixture. So when I'm looking at these statistical calculations, if there's a higher number, it doesn't mean that somebody maybe is from a particular ethnicity, group. What I'm looking at is a range of different numbers from the 5 most common population groups of New Mexico, all random, unrelated individuals. I'm looking at both the highest and the lowest numbers. In this case, the numbers are 1,200 and 40,000 individuals. And so I would need to test roughly somewhere in the number of that range to find at least one other person who may also fit into that DNA mixture. So if I have low numbers, say 1 in 20, at least one other person in this courtroom might be a part of that DNA mixture. If I have a very, very high number, say 1 in 50 quintillion, it's a very rare number. And so I wouldn't expect too many people to fit into that DNA profile, even if I were to test up to that number of individuals. And so when I'm seeing in the range of approximately 1,200 to about 40,000 individuals, I would need to test about that many people to find at least one person who might fit into that DNA profile. So while there is an association and those individuals are included, it's not a super strong association. However, they are still included in that DNA mixture.
Okay. And you mentioned that these are broken, those statistics are broken up by population group.
Correct.
But that cannot reveal the identity of any of those individuals.
No.
So, for example, it was 1 in 40,000 Apache individuals is one of the population groups. That doesn't have any bearing on the identity of these individuals.
It would not mean that the individual is, for example, Apache as your,
Sure.
as your,
What are the population groups that you use here in the New Mexico? Department
they
of Public Safety?
are Caucasian, Southwest Hispanic, African American, Native American, Apache, and Native American. I'm sorry, it's slipping my head right now. May I refer to my report?
Yes.
It's a lot of information to look at. Thank you. I'm sorry, Navajo.
And why do you use those population groups?
They're the 5 most common population groups in New Mexico.
I just want to ask, so of all of the items you tested, what is the only item that Isaac Apodaca was included or could not be excluded on?
Item
Objection,
2.2.
Your Honor. That question needs to be rephrased. May we approach?
Yes.
Re-ask a question. When you say cannot be excluded or cannot be eliminated, what does that mean?
When I make the statement that someone cannot be eliminated, it is an inclusionary statement. So that individual is included in that DNA profile.
Thank you. And so going back to my question, what is the only item that Isaac Apodaca was included, or in other words, could not be eliminated from as a contributor to the mixture?
That would be item 2.2, which was the swabbing and cutting of the inner waistband of the black pants.
Thank you. A moment, Your Honor. Pass the witness. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, may I ask one brief question? Did your report or did your findings go through a technical review?
Yes, it did.
Did it go through an administrative review?
It did.
And did you finalize the report?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 83. Just review 83 and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes.
What is State's Exhibit 83?
This is a report that I authored.
And does this report
It does not.
Does this fairly and accurately represent the testing and the findings on the items that you discussed today?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, at this time I tendered State's Exhibit 83, the laboratory report for the DNA testing. 84 was the latent, so we had skipped 83, hence why we're back.
Any objection, counsel?
No objection, Your Honor.
83 is admitted.
And we don't intend to publish at this time. And now at this time, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, counsel?
Of course he do.
Good afternoon, Ms. Archuleta.
Good afternoon.
I know it's been a long day. You've been waiting outside for quite a while.
That's okay.
So we'll get through this fairly quickly. I just first wanted to talk a little bit about the quality control in your office. It sounds like it's pretty good. So let's talk about cross-contamination. Is it important for the people who collect these swabs and bring them to you? Is it important for them to make sure that they don't cross-contaminate?
We do advise law enforcement to wear gloves and masks, to package things separately so that samples aren't placed in the same container. So they're not cross-contaminating within their own package.
So you do that training for them?
We do advise them, but we don't always perform that training.
But you are aware that the investigators are trained on how to collect evidence without cross-contaminating?
To my knowledge, it's something they are trained on, but I don't know what their protocols involve.
Okay.
What does cross-contamination have to do
And
with you?
then you talked about an independent analysis of your DNA results
Twice.
after you've done the work.
Talk about it.
Who double-checked your work, I guess is a good way to put it.
When a case is complete by any of our analysts, the case will go through both technical and administrative review. When that is done, it is performed by another qualified DNA analyst in the section and for the technical review, and then it moves on to a different qualified analyst for the administrative review.
Do you remember who it was?
I don't recall.
You know, I couldn't find it on your bench notes. Do you know if it's on there somewhere?
It is within our laboratory management system, and I do have it within the checklist. I do have that information if I may refer to my notes.
Yes, please.
He's just trying to take up time. He ain't got nothing he want to say or talk about for real. It's dumb.
The main part of this, though, Tiff, is y'all agreeing with Tiff. The main part of this is the fact that this is not a whodunit. We already know who done it. The girlfriend did it. She didn't play it to it. She took a 30-year plea deal to say that he's the one
The
that.
technical review was performed by Eve Tokumaru, and the administrative review was performed by Jennifer Otto.
So if his fingerprints is
They were both
not there,
okay with your analysis?
they're done.
Yes.
Somebody said
And are
she-
they both certified as well?
Yes, they are.
What does this have to do with
We
you?
need some technical help up here, Angel. I just want to make sure I'm not going to mess up their computer.
Now they said Tiff ain't throw a rat on his ass.
This
No, for real.
thing.
Get him out of here.
Okay, this is the first time I've tried this, so bear with me.
The way that lady was switching them gloves off and on yesterday, you can't tell, but she don't walk around with 3 boxes of gloves in her car and a case in the trunk. I don't care what he say.
Hey. Okay, so do you
Honest.
recognize this item?
Your client should be charged with a few more things.
It's difficult for me to determine this is a blue sweater. However, I do not see my markings for ID on the item, so I can't verify for
You
certain.
can't say that's the sweater.
going to object to the
Yeah, Counsel,
rest of the desktop thing.
you'll need to go in between images without showing your index and your, there were 3 other pages up there for a second.
Okay. Do you recognize this item?
Again,
You don't recognize.
these appear to be the black pants that I examined, but again, I don't see my markings for ID. So I can't verify for certain that they are in fact the same item.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna. Look at this, and then- All right. And just for the record, that first item that I showed the witness was DSC 1221 from States 54.
Don't
The second
matter.
one was DSC 1232.
Just
from
be
States
doing
54.
stuff. Just want to touch stuff. Just want to be able to say you used it. Use her evidence. There you go. And again, what do the pants or that sweater got to do with him telling her or encouraging her, inciting her, instructing her to do this?
Okay, and you received the known profiles. Do you call them profiles or standards?
We call them DNA standards
Okay,
or
so-
reference samples.
Okay, thank you. You received those known standards or reference standards? Is that what you said?
Yes, reference samples or known DNA standards. They're used interchangeably.
Can I just use standards?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. You received those standards for Kiara McCauley, Grace Jennings, and Isaac Apodaca from
Yeah, he's
crime scene technician Maria Tena?
to my recollection, yes.
Over
Okay.
with.
And you analyzed each one of those to get a genetic profile or a standard for each one of those individuals, right?
That is correct.
And then you compare those samples to any DNA analysis that you do on the items that have been submitted for analysis.
That's
I'd have been in there. Objection.
So let's talk about Kiara McCauley here real quick.
You can't fire him in the middle.
Yes, you can. Why
No, you
not?
can't.
I don't want him to say nothing else for me on my behalf. Well,
So the shirt that you tested, the blue shirt that you tested, you said you took the clipping from
Go on by
the
yourself.
cuff,
I believe it was the right cuff area, yes.
the right cuff area, if it was on the top or the bottom.
I don't recall.
And then did you take another clipping from the back or did you just swat it?
I took the sample, I took a scraping and a cutting from the inner neck area of the shirt
like that. Whatever you
Okay,
or the sweater.
went.
okay, and you took that one
You
in the back of the neck in order to determine whether you have worn it
So
at some point.
Yes,
because you're not
And
watch this.
you did analysis on that
What I'm
clipping.
gonna do.
correct.
No, don't
And when you did the analysis on that clipping, you
you gonna get me
matched it to the standards of Kiara McCauley.
The major DNA profile matched Kiara McCauley.
Okay, so Kiara McCauley's DNA is on that blue sweater on the neck.
too
In
big,
my opinion, yes.
loose
Okay.
foot and laced up tight.
And
Become I'm with
the
a
major profile
3
did eliminate
finder for
Grace Jennings and Isaac Apodaca.
That
coming
is correct.
to shit. Y'all gotta
So
be
could Kiara McCauley have been the one who was wearing that shirt at some point in time?
anything.
I would
About to get me to-
reasonably expect that that could be the case, yes.
And like you said, you took a clipping from the right
What? What you
The right cuff area.
and you did analysis on that clipping.
there? Get out of there, my
And
man.
you found a major DNA profile on that one as well.
That's correct.
Right now.
And that major DNA profile matches his Grace.
And now,
Yes.
and now he can't call us.
You understand that
This
that shirt was taken from a hamper,
is restricted for
or a
the
laundry basket. Do you know that?
I'm not aware of where these were collected from. I know that the items were submitted for DNA testing.
Would it refresh your recollection if you were to look in your bench notes where they were found?
Yes,
Could you?
yes.
Thank you.
I turned in the booty. We ain't gonna do this.
That's what somebody just said. Woody fired Kayla.
The man, you're fired right now. There ain't no
Yes, I did have the information that it was found in the laundry basket and we're unknown who the wearer of the sweater would be.
Okay. Repeat that second part. Is that what, are you testifying to that or is it you just reading that from your report?
I did read the statement that I
Okay.
wrote down.
Oh,
However, yes, that is why I would collect a sample for wearer DNA because I
who car outside.
don't know who the wearer of the item might be.
gotcha. Okay. And with regard to the black pants, it looks like, well, where did you find those? Where did those come from, according to your notes?
Yeah. Somebody step in.
Ain't nobody to step in.
He out there lonely.
Also found inside the laundry basket.
Okay,
No,
and
not a couple people with them.
again, one of the reasons why you take clippings from these pants is to determine who might have worn them.
Yes, for, on the inside waistband portion, yes.
The other
And
one.
that's where you clipped it from the inside waist?
Yes.
Okay, and then you compared that to the majors, the standards that you already knew?
Correct.
And the result was, Kiara McCauley could have been wearing those pants, right?
Trying to ask questions.
That's a possibility.
Record.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another clipping, now, did you take another clipping from the pants, or did you just swab the stain on the right, on the right leg?
I
No.
would need to refer to my notes to answer that question.
Please.
Tidy, we're gonna talk to you all about that because if he the one that answered the questions, honey, tag me in. I couldn't have been.
I did take a swabbing of that item.
And then you developed a profile from that swabbing?
Yes.
And that profile matches Grace Jennings, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the bottom line is those pants that were found in the laundry basket could belong to Kiara McCauley, right?
It's possible.
And they have the blood, or they had the DNA of Miss Jennings on the right pant leg, right?
That's correct.
And that stain also indicated blood.
Yes, that's correct.
And with regard to that shirt.
Are we referring to the blue sweater?
Yes, let's go back to the blue sweater. With regard to that blue sweater.
Yes.
A, it could belong to Kiara McCauley.
Yes, that's
B,
possible.
okay, B, it did, the right cuff indicated blood from Grace Jennings.
Correct.
And Grace Jennings's DNA is on that right cuff.
Yes, blood was indicated on the cuff, and yes, that did match Grace Jennings.
Okay. And then this tissue, I don't know what item it is.
4.
Okay. Do your notes indicate where that was found?
I would need to
Can you
double
check, please? Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
No, I did not have that information.
And you decided to test it because blood was indicated?
Yes,
And you're finding, so you ran a DNA analysis on that, right?
correct.
And you got a profile,
Yes.
call it a major profile?
This was a single source DNA profile, so a profile from one individual.
Okay, so no mixture,
No mixture on this item to my recollection.
and that matched to Kiara McCauley.
Correct.
You need a texture, that's fine.
Thank you.
And then, so let's talk about the sword for just a minute, the handles. Now you made me thirsty. May I get some water?
Go ahead.
Point.
You need some water, Tiffany.
Land the plane, sir. What is your point? What
So
is
you did analysis on a swab that you took from the handle of the sword, right?
Yes,
And that swab didn't indicate blood.
correct.
So, and that's the only item out of all these that didn't indicate blood, right?
Yes,
And you found a major DNA profile on the handle of that sword?
yes, that is correct.
Was that one single source?
No, this was a DNA mixture, and the major DNA profile matched Kiara McCauley.
Okay. And then you took another swab from the blade, right?
Yes,
And you went ahead and did an analysis on that,
yes.
rendered some DNA. Was that a mixture or was that a single source?
On the blade of the sword, it was a single source DNA profile.
And it matched to Grace Jennings.
Correct.
And you said that the odds, what were the odds on Kiara McCauley touching?
Said all this already.
Or her DNA being on her matching?
When I
the-
ran the statistical calculations for the association
He's
with
been
Kiara McCauley,
asking a bunch
the probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random
just trying
who
to
could be the source of that
that's all.
DNA profile
No.
is approximately 1 in 360 octillion individuals.
Objection.
And that octillion is 27 zeros?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. How do y'all figure that number out? With
It's a lot of numbers, right?
uh
Yeah, we do have a FBI program that runs these calculations for us. And so we enter the profile information and we are able to generate a report with these statistical
That's the
calculations.
answer to
So you don't have to sit there with a calculator.
We don't have to sit there with a calculator.
Good, okay.
I'm not a mathematician. I can't do that. I could, but it'd take a long time.
I'll bet with 27 zeros, that's quite a bit of data.
A lot of double checking.
Yes. So, one of the reasons
Right.
why you
It was
analyze
every time.
fingernail clippings is to find DNA from a foreign source in them.
To determine if there's DNA that does not belong to the individual that the nails were collected from, yes.
Okay, and so that's why you clipped 5 from the left and 5 from the right?
Well, I received the clippings.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
That's right, you, from OMI.
From the law enforcement agency, but they were collected at OMI.
That's right, they came from Officer Maria Tena.
I believe so, yes.
And on the left-handed clippings, you didn't find Isaac Apodaca in those left-handed clippings.
Let me just think about that for a minute. No, I did not.
And on the right-handed clippings, you didn't find Isaac Apodaca.
I did not.
So he's eliminated from both of those.
Yes.
Okay, and let me just go down the list. With regard to Isaac Apodaca only, okay? The right cuff of the sweater, he is eliminated as a source of the major DNA profile.
Correct.
He's not anywhere but
In the inner neck area of the sweater, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the major DNA profile.
Correct.
With regard to the staining on the front right leg of the pants, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile obtained from that.
That is correct.
With regard to the inner waistband, Kiara McCauley, Isaac Apodaca, and Grace Jennings cannot be eliminated as possible contributors to this mixture.
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell me what transfer DNA is?
Transfer DNA would be a situation in which, for example, if I'm holding this water bottle and then maybe somebody else is holding the water bottle after me, they may maybe get some of my DNA maybe on their hands. And so that can happen. It's difficult to determine how frequently it might happen. A lot of it is variable in nature, whether or not, maybe somebody just wiped their mouth or something, and so they have some wet saliva, that might be more likely to transfer DNA than if it's somebody who just washed and dried their hands and maybe just touched it quickly. And so it is variable in nature, but it does happen.
Okay, so an example also would be Miss Haley was just up here messing with the podium. Now I'm up here messing with the podium. There's a possibility that I have, would that be secondary transfer of DNA
Yes.
from her to me?
Yes.
And then I
If I were to swab your hands and maybe find her DNA profile.
and that would be a secondary transfer.
Yeah, it could be.
And then I'm over there messing with my desk afterwards. I could actually transfer her DNA all the way over there.
Yes.
That's a tertiary transfer.
Correct.
Okay, and that's how we get mixtures like this sometimes.
Occasionally, it's not the only reason that we would get mixtures, but yes, it can happen.
And especially if clothes are put into a basket somewhere. you
Yes,
could
I
get
would
that.
say that sort of transfer would probably be more likely if there were wet material, but it's not impossible for it to happen with dry as well.
Mhm. Like a wet towel or a wet cloth?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright.
With regard to the stain near the left shoulder, i.e. the scraping of the inner back part of the neck
Yeah, hold on.
on that red t-shirt,
Yes.
where did that come from?
Are you referring to the red t-shirt?
Yeah,
I would need to refer to my notes to see if I have.
Could you
anything
please?
About that.
Why, sir? Why? For what?
Item 3 was also recovered from the laundry basket.
okay, thank you. And Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the major DNA profile obtained from that red t-shirt.
That is correct.
And with regard to the tissue, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile found on that tissue.
Correct.
With regard to the swab of the staining from the blade of the sword, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile obtained from that sword.
That is correct.
And that's the blade, right?
That is the blade.
And from the handle of the sword, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the major DNA profile obtained from that item.
Correct.
Now, that with regard to the swab of the stain from the wall behind the bed, did you get a chance to look at the picture? Is that just the only,
No, I've never seen the picture.
okay, you just got a, I'm at a loss for words. That's what
You're
we're asking
not.
lawyers, right?
Because you keep talking.
You got a explanation of where it came from, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay. But Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile obtained from that item as well.
That is correct.
And with regard to the swab from the stain on the pillow, do you remember what color the pillow was?
I don't recall.
Would it show it in your notes maybe?
It might.
Could you check?
Yes.
Thank you.
I believe let's see. Yes, I don't recall that information because I did not have that information. What was submitted to me was a swab of the stain from the pillow.
Okay. And what, from the swab from that stain from the pillow, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile obtained.
Correct.
And with regard to the stain from the sheet, Isaac Apodaca is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile obtained from that.
Also correct.
And we've already gone over the left hand fingernails and the right hand fingernails. Okay. Give me just a second, okay? You have a second here. I think we've kind of answered this in a roundabout way, but if other, and I
It is
apologize,
the
I
answer,
kind of
sir.
can't read this handwriting, so bear with me, please. If clothes, objects, or surfaces were recently handled by someone, would it be no surprise for their DNA to be?
It wasn't counted on there. Why do you want to put him on the sword?
If they were
Detected.
detected. If a sample, if an item was handled recently, it would not be surprising to find somebody's DNA profile. However, we do have those variabilities in which somebody may or may not leave DNA behind. So maybe they have more staining on their hands for some reason. Maybe somebody isn't wearing a mask and they're talking over something. If they're holding on to something for a while, maybe they're leaving more DNA behind than, somebody else might do, might leave behind. And so there are variable factors associated with that, but it wouldn't be entirely uncommon to find someone's DNA profile if they had been holding or touching an item for a certain amount of time.
Thank you. And I think we've already asked this question as to where the red T-shirt was located. Did we already ask?
You already know where the red T-shirt was.
To my recollection, yes.
Okay, I thought so. All right. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Council.
Golly. Let this lady go. Y'all done had her sitting there all day because of your shenanigans. And now that she finally then got through
Redirect.
with sitting there. Redirect for what? He didn't do nothing. Jesus, blessed. Blessed Father God.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Mr. Chiletta, I'm going to approach you with what's previously been admitted as State's Exhibit 74 and State's Exhibit 75. And I actually don't need you to handle them.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Sorry. Can you identify State's Exhibit 74, please?
Yes.
And what is State's Exhibit 74?
This is item number 10, which was the DNA standard for Isaac Apodaca.
And how do you know that that's what that item is?
I know that item number 10, based on the submission receipt, was the DNA standard for Isaac Apodaca. And this corresponds with the information on the packaging.
Okay. And can you identify your agency seals on the item?
Yes, so this white seal on the front of the package is our laboratory item barcode. So this has our laboratory item number and case number on it, as well as the agency information on it, the agency case number and what the item actually is.
And where's the actual seal aside from the label? Where's the seal itself?
Aside from the seal, aside from the label itself, it's sealed across the top with the evidence tape seal from the agency. And then my evidence tape seal is at the bottom in green.
And the agency seal from SFPD at the top, can you tell what initials are on that seal?
It's difficult to read. It looks like an MT, but I'm not certain.
Are you aware who collected that standard based on your review of the?
To my recollection, it was Maria Tenna.
Okay. And then if you could look at States 75, tell me if you recognize that.
Yes, same situation here. I have my white barcode on the front from my laboratory with the laboratory case number as well as the item number and all of the agency case information. The agency seal is across the top with the same initials that are on the other, as well as my evidence tape seal at the bottom with my initials and the date as well.
Okay, based on your review of that packaging and that understanding of the agency seals, who collected that item?
I believe it was Maria Tenna.
You were asked about DNA transfer and other issues. How long can DNA linger on an item or be detectable on an item?
That can vary. It just depends on the situation, how the item is stored, where it is stored, whether or not there has been moisture or any sort of chemicals, bacterial activity, that sort of thing. Heat, UV light, chemicals, all of these things can break down DNA. So if it's stored in ideal situations, it can last for an extended amount of time.
What about like fingernail clippings? Why are fingernail clippings routinely collected and tested?
Fingernail clippings are routinely collected because if there is some sort of altercation, it is thought that someone who might be defending themselves may get DNA from the person that they are having the altercation with under their nails. And so those are frequently collected for examination purposes as far as DNA is concerned.
Well, my question is actually about the period of time that DNA could remain underneath fingernails, if you're aware.
That's difficult to determine. It depends on how well someone washes their hands. When you think about situations in which, like the artificial nails that we were talking about before, there's that little groove in between where the natural nail sits and the artificial nail sits that kind of collects a little bit of dirt, debris, skin cells, etc. So it could be variable as far as what is collected. It might be a lot of DNA, it might be not a lot of DNA.
can DNA in those sorts of pockets or groups be retained for a long period of time?
I would say that would be a reasonable thought, yes.
Thank you. And then a minute ago, I think I heard you say that someone who has just washed their hands and dried them may be less likely to transfer DNA to an item they touch. Is that correct?
Well, less likely than if you had, maybe just wiped your mouth or something, you don't have a wet saliva stain or something on your hands. So if you have some sort of wet staining or something on your hand, it would be more likely to transfer, less likely if something is dry.
Moment, Your Honor.
Council, approach, please.
Jesus.
Did you receive any swabs from any door handles?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor. We will reserve this witness out of an abundance of caution.
Okay. You're being reserved. You may step down. The attorneys will be in contact with you if you need to return to testify. Don't discuss your testimony with anyone else, and don't seek out any information about the case or the other testimony.
Understood.
You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Help us, Lord.
How's everyone in the jury box doing? Can we go about another half hour? Okay.
Say no.
Your next witness, counsel.
The state calls Ryan Romero. And Your Honor, there's 2 items of evidence. Can I collect those?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Make your way up here, please. I'm going to place you under oath, sir. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the penalty of perjury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
If you'd start off for us by stating your name and spelling it for our record, please.
Ryan Romero, RyanRomero.
Mr. Long.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hello.
How you doing?
What do you do for a living?
I'm a policeman,
Who are you a policeman with?
Edgewood Police Department.
All right. And back on October 29th or around that date of 2022, were you a policeman somewhere else?
Yes, with Santa Fe Police Department.
And did you assist in the investigation of the homicide of Grace Jennings?
Yes,
Were you asked to extract or attempt to extract 2 cell phones?
yes.
Come on with it.
Would you tell the jury a little bit about how you obtained the cell phones?
I put in a request per policy, and they were brought to me.
Okay. Were the cell phones packaged or anything?
Yeah. Yes,
And did you maintain custody of those cell phones at all times while you performed the extraction?
yes.
Would you tell the jury a little bit about how a cell phone extraction is conducted?
It's using a program called Celebrite, and Celebrite is software and hardware that's used for data extraction from data-containing devices such as computers, laptops, cell phones.
Okay. And back on October or November of 2022, were you certified in the use of Celebrite? How is an extraction actually conducted?
The device is connected to a computer containing the software, the Celebrite software, and the software identifies the device and extracts the data and produces a a file, a report file containing the information that is contained within the phone.
Okay. And how do you connect the phone to the computer?
Via USB connection, or however the device is normally connected to be charged.
Okay. And then you said that it creates like a report file. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Does that report file get saved anywhere?
Yes.
Where?
It's saved onto the computer itself, and there's also a copy of that report is transferred to a USB, normally transferred to a USB.
Okay. Permission to approach the witness?
You may.
So, and I'm sorry, is it officer, detective?
A detective.
Detective, Romero. I'm going to hand you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 72, or I'm sorry, 71 and 72. Would you please just take a look at 71 first? Let me know if there's anything on there that you recognize.
Yes, I packaged this, and that's my signature and my handwriting for the date.
Okay, and what was the date of that packaging?
11/16 of 22.
All right, at this point, I would move State's Exhibit 71 into evidence. It is
Any objection?
conditionally,
No objection, Judge.
71 is admitted without objection.
and would you now take a look at 72? Do you recognize anything on that? And I'm sorry, I'm rushing you. Let me give you some time to actually use those eyes.
Yes, I recognize it.
All right, and how do you recognize it?
I packaged this, and this is my signature and date on the evidence tape sealing it.
At this point, I would move State's Exhibit 72 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
72 is admitted without objection.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what is actually in there.
Each envelope contains a USB for each one of the phones that I was instructed to extract the data from.
Okay, and did you make any additional copies of those USBs and then give them to somebody?
No.
And were those USBs, once they were packaged up, were those submitted back into evidence?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes.
I pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
Yes, I'm fine.
Why? All he said was he dumped the phones. Why? Do you have a cross-examination for everything? It's too late on a Friday.
Good afternoon, Officer Romero. Did you use the UFED feature on Celebrate?
Yes.
Okay. Is that feature used, that feature is normally used to access possibly deleted files, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was your Celebrate certification current when you did the dump?
Yes.
Okay. And have you done any peer reviews in regards to it? In
I'm
regards
sorry?
to your certification, were there any peer reviews done?
No.
Okay. Did you analyze or review your dump info?
No.
Okay. 1 second.
Nothing else, nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. We would reserve him for rebuttal, though.
Okay. You're being held in reserve, so you may be recalled. The attorneys will stay in touch with you and let you know.
Cross
if you
for
need to
what,
testify.
Keisha?
In the interim,
Cross for
don't,
what? All he said
discuss
he
your
did was
testimony
dump the
with anyone and don't seek out any information about the case or any of the testimony of other witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may step down. If you give those two exhibits, just hand them to the bailiff, please. Mr. Long.
State calls Jared Alide.
Jesus. Y'all gonna keep going too? Okay.
Judge, there's one more item of evidence. May I grab that?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sure, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
If you'd introduce yourself to this jury by stating your name and spelling your name for our record, please.
My name is Jared Alide. Spelling of the first name is Jared. Last name is Alire.
Mr. Long.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a Santa Fe police detective with the city of Santa Fe.
And how long have you been a detective with the Santa Fe Police Department?
I'm going on 13 years.
Did you assist in the investigation of the homicide of Grace Jennings?
I did.
And were you asked to extract or attempt to extract 3 cell phones?
Yes, I was.
How did you obtain those cell phones?
I did a request through our evidence technicians, just letting them know I needed the cell phones for a cell phone extraction.
All right. And how is a cell phone extraction conducted?
We use a computer through a platform named Cellbrite,
Listen, with
which
how many
provides us the
phones you-
software and the tools to perform extractions.
All right.
Tag you, Tiffany.
And how is that extraction conducted?
So we plug in the phones. It provides us step-by-step instructions of how to manipulate the phone, so it could get to the phone, and it's all done through the software.
Okay. And at that time that you conducted these extractions, was that on or around October 29th, 2022?
That was the beginning part of the investigations. My portion of extracting was November 23rd, 2022.
Thank you. And on November 23rd, 2022, were you certified in the use of Cellbrite?
Yes, my certification was a Cellbrite certified physical analyst.
Okay. Were you able to conduct extractions on those 3 phones?
Yes, I was.
You did 3.
And did you save those extractions?
Yes, I did.
Question of approach witness?
Yes.
Detective, I'm going to hand you the United States Exhibit 73. Would you please take a look at that?
Of course. Okay.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
This was the thumb drives where I saved the extractions onto the thumb drives and placed them into evidence.
Okay. At this point, I would move States Exhibit 73 into evidence.
Any objection to 73?
No objection, Your Honor.
73 is admitted without objection.
And
His
I apologize, I think you just answered this, but after you saved the extractions onto those thumb drives, what did you do with those, that envelope?
This envelope was then labeled, sealed, and initial dated and placed into our evidence locker room.
Okay. And Detective, just real quick, do you know if Celebrate alters any of the data on the cell phone before you extract it?
No, their software is made to safely transfer the data or extract the data without tampering any of it. And
Personal knowledge of this.
Foundation.
And Detective, you stated that you were certified in the use of Cellbrite?
yes, I was.
And what is that, what does one have to do in order to get that certification?
We have to take training to first get the initial certificate of it, and then every 2 years to keep the certificate going.
Okay, and do you know how long that
Yeah,
training is?
It's cross-examination.
I know it was an online one, but they gave us, I want to say they gave us about 30 to 60 days to get it completed. I don't know. I know they do have in-person trainings, I think close to 2 weeks, but I can't say exactly how many days.
Okay. And do you know anything about whether Celebrite prevents, were you ever taught whether Celebrite prevents alteration of data?
In our training, it says,
Yes,
Can we approach?
yes.
Jesus. Why? Why?
Now, Detective, in any of your trainings or regarding your certification regarding Celebrite, did you learn whether Celebrite prevents the alteration or the manipulation of data on that phone?
in our training, in my training, I've learned that their technology and their software is made to protect it and not alter any data.
All right, thank you. I pass the witness.
Cross-examination, counsel.
For what?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Did you use the UFED feature on Celebrite?
Yes, it is part of the software.
Okay, and is it to detect any files that may have been deleted?
It can recover files and notes on there if there were any that were recovered that were deleted on the phone. It can detect it, yes.
Okay. And your certification, your Celebrite certification was current when you did the dump according to your direct examination?
He just
correct?
said that.
Yes, at that time it was, yes.
Okay. And was there any peer reviews done as part of this certification?
A physical, like to analyze it?
Yeah.
No, I did not analyze any of the data.
Okay, so you didn't analyze or review any of the dump info?
No, I just made sure that it was opening correctly and I did not analyze any of it.
Okay, and did you have the password for the device?
I don't remember if it was already opened and unlocked or if there was a password on the request to tell us that there was a password. I can't recall.
So you don't recall that? Okay, and now you're talking about how Celebrite can't be altered or manipulated. That was information presented to you at some sort of training?
In my training, it did notate that that's what it's made to do, is to not alter the data.
So it's like the Celebrite people telling you that, or people, some liaisons involved with Celebrite telling you that it can't be altered or manipulated?
It was just in their workbooks and then on online training system that they were using.
Okay, so that was coming directly from Celebrite?
Through Celebrite, yes.
Yeah, they were telling you that their product cannot be altered or manipulated.
It didn't say that it cannot. It's showing that their technology is made to safely extract data without making changes.
And they didn't bring up any room for error or issues that could arise through the system?
Not that I can recall.
Not enough to have him accidentally send that many text messages, fool. And not for them to accidentally pull Kiara's messages through his phone. You already know what he get ready to say. He said he didn't send none of those messages. She did. How they get on your
You're not aware of any security challenges or anything that Celebrite may have faced in recent years?
Not that I know of.
He's not from
So
Celebrate.
nobody discussed that with you from Celebrite, or you don't have any information about that?
No, he's not.
I'm no longer certified. I haven't taken a training since 2023, maybe. I think that's when my cert expired.
Okay. And the certification for Cellbrite, that comes directly from the Cellbrite Corporation company?
Yes, it does come from them.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
Any
Thank
redirect?
you.
No, Your Honor. State would reserve them for rebuttal.
You're being held in reserve, so don't discuss your testimony with anyone. Don't seek out any information about the case or about the testimony of any other witnesses. The attorneys will stay in touch.
And I hope they pop up with the location data showing they were
Thank you,
in
Your Honor.
the same
You may
spot.
step down. Hand that to the bailiff, please.
Thank you.
That's why they reserve it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to call it a week. So just to repeat instructions you've already heard over the weekend. Again, please don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't seek out any information. Don't go by the location or locations that have been described to you. Don't make any experiments. Since you've been hearing about technical kinds of things, again, don't seek out any information about any of the technical processes or any, we were just hearing about a software package a moment ago. Don't seek out any additional information about any of either the processes what have we heard about today. We've heard about serology, we've heard about DNA testing, we've heard about latent prints. Please don't seek out any additional information from any source about any of those things over the weekend. I would ask you to come back. Let me check Monday. I know I have a couple of things, but we should get started pretty early. We're still a little behind. So again, on Monday, we're going to try and be as efficient as possible. I have 4 hearings in the morning before we can begin. I'll still ask you to be here at 8:30.
Dang.
No, that's an old note. We thought they were going to be tearing all the lights out. That's when we set that up. But my bailiff just tried to remind me is at one point in time, we'd had a conversation about switching courtrooms because they're doing maintenance on the building. We have a calendar of events as to what floors they're doing at what period of time, and so it doesn't affect us. So we'll be back up here on Monday, meet the bailiff again. I don't know if anyone's picking a jury on the first floor, so the same place, second floor, far into the hall up against the large windows. Angel will collect you there and then bring you up, and we'll get started. Do any of you have any questions for me? Again, the schedule, as far as we can tell at the moment, is we're scheduled to get the case presented and hopefully be completed by the end of the day on Tuesday. It may be that you go into Wednesday. So again, schedule in case that happens. If you have other responsibilities or obligations, you should just be aware that you may be here on Wednesday as well. Okay. Again, leave your notes with the bailiff. He'll help you retrieve any personal items you have in the back.
Behind because of damn.
Go and have a good weekend.
All right.
Hey guys, I know it's late on a Friday. Thanks for hanging out. For those who are still here, I'll get the rest of this recapped. And everybody enjoy their weekend. Have a beautiful weekend. Get some rest, eat good, make some memories, and I will see you on Monday morning. Make sure you got all your rest and all your favorite snacks because we know that Kiara is coming on Monday. The medieval murderer is coming on Monday. And Mr. about to throw a tantrum about his cell phones.
Council.
Being fooling with that. I'll have a good weekend. Don't stay.
Issues we need to take.